Okay,
We're live?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. I still, ever since had, hey, welcome to the Wes Smith Variety Show. Wes Smith here. And Kelly, Agent 137 there in New York. And Gus, Adia Break. And Brandon, last name?
Vazquez.
Cheers.
Super cheers.
Cheers. Ow!
Cheers.
Oh, we have so many special things going on today. But, yes.
Special.
We have new camera setup for one thing. I know, everybody. Don't get too excited. We're really stepping up the production game. We are really stepping up the production game. Let's see. We started playing some games. Speaking of games, I think today's game is going to be Jenga. We'll see. Brendan, maybe you'd be the master of ceremonies for. Do you know how to set up Jenga?
I mean, it's been years, but yeah, I remember the basic concept. There's some, I professionally play Jenga at least 3 times a week.
You're not the third wheel. You're the Jenga master. Let's see.
There's some science involved. Just a
real quick fun things when we get going here for anybody that's tuned in today or later. Well, if you hear this more than a week from now, everything will be out of date. I know what I wanted to start this episode with. I wanted to say that we have some. We're going to have some. What do you call it? What are those things? Disclaimers? Is that what they are, Gus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where you start the show and you're like, "This is not investment advice. This is not advice on anything to do with your money." Dude, those things are driving me crazy, man.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit maybe today about like. Gus is definitely a computer guy. Maybe you are too.
I mean,
I definitely use them every day, and sometimes I feel very outdated and unknowledgeable. I know how to get my way around.
But you already know where I'm going with that one.
Oh, yeah.
Any crypto podcast you listen to is now like trying to step up their game and do these like disclaimers.
What do you know?
And so,
professional twist.
And so I erring towards the comedic side, this is absolutely not an investment show. In fact, as we have warned many times, it's probably not advisable to do anything that you learn here again. Okay, if you learn anything. That said, what else? I think we usually hit some events if anybody has any kind of events coming up.
Yeah.
You got an event coming up?
Yeah, totally. We got future I almost said Wednesday. It's not on a Wednesday, it's on a Thursday, so everyone's really confused. February 22nd. It's kind of a held a residency down here in San Diego for a little bit.
That's in San Diego.
That's in San Diego, yeah, Kava Lounge. So one of my residents is moving to New York to Long Island. So gotta connect you guys up. So this is our kind of like goodbye, and we've definitely slowed down. I mean, we went from doing every Wednesday to like every once in a while we'll do a party, but this is kind of it. I mean,
that's pretty much California style.
Yeah, we. Mellowed out, but yeah, this will kind of be basically the last future, I think, for a while. So it's cool.
And
it's nice to see it.
Well, and so since that's an event, Gus, give your DJ name and kind of quick what you do, or if what you like to do. DJ.
Yeah, my name's Adia Break. I've been playing down here in San Diego for the last 8 years. I am a drum bass and breaks DJ first, and garage, and everything else just kind of falls in under that. But those are my two loves. Have been super active in the last couple years, but I'm coming back.
It happens.
Yeah, I needed a break. It's good. I'm feeling good though.
No pun intended.
Yeah, I'm feeling juicy though. So it's cool. It feels good.
2 puns in 1 sentence.
Yeah.
You can come on again.
You guys, is that what y'all were doing? Was rehearsing out there on the sidewalk?
Yeah, totally.
They're like standing out on the sidewalk with a 6-pack of beer, like in the middle of the sidewalk. Probably doesn't matter.
Brandon fucked up though. He didn't bring his breakbeat DJ hat though. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Although nowadays you're more likely to get in trouble for hanging out there with a beer than like smoking some weed, right?
Yeah.
So
that's true. That is true.
It is true. Kelly, what do you got? Kelly, what do you got? Anything coming up?
I do. I have Essential Thursdays next Thursday, not tomorrow, and that is at the Deep End in Brooklyn. And then on the 23rd, I'm playing a super duper uber rave at crap, I can't remember. It's in Brooklyn now. I can't remember where it is, but it's happy hardcore and drum and bass. February.
Woo! It's hard not to get excited just hearing you say that.
I know.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what I've got so far. And then
I've got a birthday coming up.
What?
March 10th.
Yes, you do.
Nice.
For anyone curious and listening, I'll be 100 years old.
Sweet.
That's right. So it's a big one. Got to celebrate that. And I actually just got today. I don't know if we're going to do a party here in San Diego or not, but the plan was to do like a or late afternoon into early evening party to number one, make it a birthday and then not have a lot of conflicts with other things going on.
Sure.
But, do DJ stuff. And I got a really cool spot for it. They just got back to me today and it's available. So may happen. Then San Francisco in April, we still haven't announced the date, but I can tell you it's a lucky number.
Okay.
And it's on a weekend.
Nice.
So do the math.
All right,
There's only
here we
so
go.
many lucky numbers on weekends in April. So get your thinking caps on, folks. Music stuff. I think we went into hibernation with releases in January. This is the first January in like 5 years. We haven't done a release in January.
Oh.
But not unintentionally. Out of hibernation, all kinds of things coming out. Let's see what's next. I've got two things I wanted to talk about real quick and mention here because I know I got music people listening now and later when we put it on SoundCloud and stuff. One is I started circulating kind of pre-release on that Wes Smith versus Fat Larry's band. It's like some disco house tracks with of course with some bass lines thrown in there.
Cool. Hell yeah.
And I don't think, did I send them to you?
I think you did, and I never.
I didn't listen to it.
Totally. No.
It's like you send out.
I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
caught live on the net.
You send out like 100. You send out like 100, and like 3 people respond, and it's just the way it's algorithm, era, right? So whatever. That's even if they're direct messages, people just are like whatever. That's cool, but that's why you do it pre-release, and then again, and then again.
You're like, oh man, I need this. Oh wait, hold on a second.
and then ultimately, when there's no excitement, you finally fold and pay for an advertisement.
Yeah.
You finally pay for the boost.
It's funny because I know you sent it to me. I'm like, oh, cool. And I hit download, and then that was for,
just
forget about it. But at some point, I'll clean my downloads folder and be like, oh, shit,
sweet.
Where'd this come from?
Unfortunately, the only pro tip I can give out of that, other than getting your friends to listen to it, is like, I see this all the time still, and I don't know why. But like those were pre-released. There's no artwork. It's just the files, right? And this is just, it shouldn't be a pro tip, but I'll say it again. Always put the name of the song.
Yes.
And your name in the file name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You guys on right?
Yeah.
Common sense. Common sense.
Pro tip.
Because Gus actually walked right into that one because that's exactly what happens. It's like, you'll go like a lot of people batch stuff for a week or two until or maybe the next gig. Yeah. And then they go blow through like all 500 things.
I got a really funny story.
And you look through the files real quick, and that's what you do. You scan all the files real quick, just visually, and you're like, oh, you see some artist names or whatever. You pull those, listen, and highly likely. So put your name in there, kids.
Yeah, totally.
Put your name in there.
It's little things. You'll make friends for life out of it, isn't that right, Gus?
Yeah. Now the other thing
we'll revisit that. We'll have to come back to that one.
Oh, we're coming back.
Yeah, it's a good story.
The other thing I've been slaving away. Oh wait, it's like, did the clock go off? Is it time for an unofficial sponsor?
Yes.
Today our unofficial sponsor will be Perrier Watermelon. We are so broke at the Variety ShYo.
If you drink a Perrier, you are not broke. But I want to know how that.
We love Perrier. Oh, these are discount. Nobody. The reality is nobody's drinking Perrier watermelon, which is why I got it for discount.
I mean, it looks delicious.
Oh, wait a minute. I have one other. No, I'll save that one for a little later.
Drink the Perrier. Drink the Perrier.
Oh, I am. The last other thing, it was an announcement thing, is finally, along with the Fat Larry tracks, will be the first edition of my Yo packs, which I've been talking about for, I don't know, a year. And basically for all Ableton junkies and not Ableton junkies, and mostly producers, or let's say just, a few casual or whatever with producing, and you like to edit songs or whatever. What I've tried to do with these things is I basically took like for the most part, my favorite songs of mine.
Yeah.
It's all my songs because that's all I have all the parts to, obviously. So I took like essentially my projects on these 4 for starters. I've got some others that'll be coming. And basically I just cut, I like out of the 30 some odd tracks that would make it up, I reduced it basically into the buses, you know, like the 8 to 12 buses that would be, you know, grouped there.
Sure.
And then across those, I sliced them into 8-bar loops. And so bounced them all. So you have the full track. And so if you're an Ableton user and you use the session view, it's already very easy to do that. If you use something else, you got nice 8-bar loops. Knock yourself out, do a remix.
For sure.
If you're Ableton, I am putting a project in there, and not to burst your bubble, but no, it's not the project that has all of the neat shit in it. And there's a couple reasons for that. It's because one is because there's just a lot of stuff in there that's taken a lot of years to create, for one thing, you know, and that's common. I think people get that. But the other really is because the people who I'm trying to sort of do these for and reach is like, I've had a lot of people like y'all probably do that are like, dude, how do I get into producing a track? Dude, how do I do this? How do I do that? And y'all probably, you know, maybe you mess around a little if they're a real close friend, or you send them to some tutorial sites or whatever and kind of get them going, right? But it's still, dude, like you think about it, like the first time you open Ableton, I mean, it's like, first time you open any DAW, it's like mind blown, dude.
Yeah.
Like if you've never produced any music or messed with waveforms of any kind, like you could open like, let's go old school. You could open like SoundForge and be confused, you know, or GarageBand and be like,
I think that was the first one I ever opened up, actually.
Yeah. So the point of these was I put in the arrangement view, I put the typical full length song stems. And then in the session view, I went ahead and preloaded all of the loops on individual channels that would match the bus that they would have been in. So if you're an Ableton person, this will all make perfect sense to you. If you're not, I recommend you highly consider, especially with Ableton 10 coming out yesterday. Yesterday, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Highly recommend that you think about ditching whatever you were using.
Try to make it easy.
Right.
And then save yourself 50% of your time and use Ableton. We're going to talk more about that because I think it's really important, actually. Like, there's some good things for some of the listeners that I think they may not realize about Ableton if they're on the fence. And so, anyway, if you're already Ableton, you're going to get into it. The cool part about these is I am going to put that Ableton project in there, so you can just open it, and it'll already be like loaded up all the clips. All you have to do, you can just cycle through the scenes, and play the whole thing. If you want to drop out the vocal, drop out the vocal. If you want to take out if it happened to be a breakbeat track, you know, drop it out, put a house, you know, kick in, whatever. So you know, the goal there is not to like give confusing fucking stems where you got to go figure out keys and tempos and do lots of shit, but to give somebody something that's
building blocks.
The second you open Ableton, you can play that song all the way through. And if you're a fan or have played that song, you know, before of mine, of course you'll know it immediately. It'll make sense. And then you can also kind of start learning a little bit of Ableton by just, you know, to me, it's a little more fun. Like, you know, my mom, you know, I got my mom to do it too. she's like, oh, this is all you do.
That's great.
Just this, Mom.
That's it, Mom.
Do you guys remember this thing called the DM Square? It came out like in maybe like 2000, and it was just that they would give you stems.
I don't remember it,
and they had like 2 records. It was it was like DJing if you're like 10. Well,
it's like a little.
I got it.
Feeling
so so you'd like, you know, you'd press each one and they'd put the loops in, and then you'd go, and of course the drum and bass one was the one I liked the best, but you had a crossfader and effects, and it was basically that, and it was cool. I sat there for hours and just like learn how to structure stuff.
And how are you making it available?
So I'm gonna give them away. So they'll be I was actually waiting for Ableton 10 to officially come out because we'll talk about the release of that in a second, and I'll tell you why. But they'll be out tomorrow or Friday. I'll put that first pack out, and they'll be the 4 songs, you know, the full songs, which is what I gave you and you didn't listen to. And then there'll be the yo packs of those 4 songs individually separated, and you'll be able to mess with those. And that's cool. The only disclaimer I have to that for anybody listening, please do not go and create your own version and go sell it on Beatport. I will guarantee you will get in trouble. Do not do that.
If you make your tone change, I knew exactly where that was.
If you make something awesome, feel free to post it. You know, put it on SoundCloud. Tag me. Tag Kelly. Whoever. Don't care. But do not go sell it. Okay.
Kelly's gonna show up on your doorstep with a baseball bat.
Not a
Real disclosure.
And it's not even about the money. It causes a lot of problems for all kinds of people. So anyway, or can, you know, like a lot of people don't care, but it just, you know, that's also just a pro tip is like, you know, if someone has told you like, hey, these loops, samples, whatever, they're awesome. You can learn from them. Do your personal thing. Please do not use them for commercial use. That means do not put them out for sale. Did I say that twice?
I mean, do not use it for commercial sale.
Right, but have fun. But to your point about the Ableton thing, well, aside from the fact that I use it and that's why I chose to put it in there, but the other app you were talking about is cool because we've all, you know, done a lot of stuff with music, and so we've all, including Kelly. And so we've all got these experiences of, you know, there was this wave for a while when like the iPad came out and like freaking everything was getting ported to the iPad, right? And there were some really awesome new applications, standalone, not like extensions of I'm not a big Native Instruments hardware user, but like there was a lot of, they kind of, I think were one of the first majors to get into doing the iPad version, right? Of their,
they had the machine stuff,
And those are all awesome. And then there were some that were like the app you're talking about that were literally like, you know, iPad only. Yeah. And you basically loaded up shit from your iTunes music library.
Sure.
You put all your clips in, you know, and it's pretty awesome. Or with the onboard sounds, right? I think those things are fantastic. But the reason I'm saying this for anybody listening now or later is because the reason I did not want to do something just for that is because I don't think it's certainly not worth my effort from an education standpoint to create something that is then very limited. So while you can't, you know, right? So while I'm not putting out a producer pack as an example, the fact of the matter is that my goal in that whole thing is to get people using a professional DAW.
Sure.
Really easy. Because, there's a lot of ways to really do like looping and whatever with other apps, and there's 1,000 of them. But anyway, that's why I wanted to do them for Ableton. So we'll see. So have fun with them if you're listening, or catch us in the future, and I'll blabber on about it.
I'm looking forward
to
the
future. I appreciate any, you know, feedback on them as well, and whatnot. And, you know, there's also some MIDI clips in there where MIDI was used, things like that. So, you know, but you can take the MIDI clips and do whatever you want with those.
Or you can take the audio.
Pro tip. Or you can take the audio and bounce it to, you know, like do your grooves, do all your things, convert it. We'll talk more about that later. There's fun things you can do in there. So that's cool. But let's see, what else? So yeah, man, Ableton 10. Tell me what you think about, you know it's out. So, you know.
Yeah. I haven't
what have you heard about it?
I haven't heard shit about it. I just saw the advertisements for it, and that's about it. That's
Kelly,
I don't know.
Kelly,
I don't know
have you
any
dug
of the new
into it at all
features.
yet?
I was they gave me the beta version and I didn't use it at all.
That's why I didn't sign up. I knew I wasn't going to end up opening it.
I don't have time for that shit. I can't learn a whole anything.
Yeah.
I really don't have time for it.
There's a lot of super cool things in there. I mean, I've only had the beta for about 3 weeks, so not enough time to like get super into stuff beyond what I would already be using. But definitely some sound engine improvements, which are cool.
Cool.
Just sounds better.
That's the wavetable synth.
Yeah. There's a wavetable synth that's really awesome. And there were a couple onboard synths in there before that came with 9, if you had Suite. But right, a lot of people didn't really mess with that stuff because, like, you know, they're essentially for creating sounds from scratch. Yeah. Which, you know, I won't even say that I can get my head totally around all that. Like, you got to go deep, bro. Are you into that?
I do really, really pride myself on deep digging as far as I can into that. But I mean, there's limits to being able to get a creative flow and get your ideas out.
Yeah, I have a Moog Sub 37 sitting over there. That's what I've mostly used for that because it's a little more intuitive for me to use physical knobs.
Yeah.
You know, I don't necessarily always know, like, in these software synths, like, you know, if it's hard to get everything, you know, in a screen present, like on the console of.
There's also muscle memory and feel behind it.
Absolutely.
You know,
plus like 2 hands.
2 hands.
Unless you're using, you know, a controller, obviously. Yeah. There's just a lot to designing a sound on a computer that's awesome, but there's also a lot to that that's not. awesome,
Right.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
and not so natural. So you know,
What do you-
is what it is.
What do you think?
And that was,
What do you think about Roland? They did a software for 808 and 909. Did you get that?
Yeah, I think. Well, I think they modeled it. I didn't read yet whether or not Roland was actually involved in doing it, but I definitely know they modeled it.
Yeah, it says new programs will be the first time Roland has ever released a tech as standalone VSTs.
Okay, cool.
Fire.
Yeah,
that's
Really?
And
pretty
both will
awesome.
be available for users of its subscription service, Roland Cloud, which I
okay. All right, well, that's cool.
hell
So
yeah.
you're Roland and Denon right now. I mean, Roland's rolling. Roland's always been
Roland
rolling.
is Roland.
Roland is rolling, and Denon is coming for everybody right now.
Oh yeah,
Their stuff is fire. I put up
I've
a
always
post.
liked their stuff better,
Yeah.
probably than Pioneer. But you got to admit, Pioneer did a great job of handing everybody their ass on the
Sure.
the Pro
Yeah.
DJ gear.
I know. We got into
Like-
a whole
like-
debate on
Not
that.
like they
time
just
ago.
started it like yesterday. I mean, I get that it's a long history and it's kind of a parabolic thing when you get famous or whatever. Like
Yeah.
quickly, it's usually like on top of 20 years of working on it. But nonetheless, like they killed it with at least with the CDJ market and whatnot.
Totally.
Be interesting to see how long that lives, though. Obviously, with everything going on. Back to the Ableton thing, real quick. So, you know, one of the other cool things, aside from features and synths and whatnot, that I was pretty excited about was that they officially acquired the Cycling 74 guys.
Oh, really?
Is it 74 or 70? I think it's 74
74.
was the name. Yeah.
What's that?
That do Max for Live. And so now Max for Live, I mean, it was already pretty easy,
Yeah.
but you had to have Suite. I think you may still have to have Suite. Maybe not. You have to check that. I have Suite, so I really don't know about all the versions below and what
It's
does
not
and
an
doesn't.
external download now.
Well, they're the same company too. Yeah, so it's shipping. Yeah, so you're that's pretty sweet, and then that'll open up really cool stuff in the future. There's plenty of great podcasts out there that talk about all the details of this. Go find one. They'll dig you through all that good stuff. But I thought that was pretty cool. That's pretty neat because that really is like maybe 2-3 years ago when I went on this tangent to try to do all my sets live
Yeah.
out of Ableton. It was a lot of fun. I did it for about 6 months and pretty successful. Some hard lessons learned too. Different ball game trying to use
Yeah.
Ableton in any capacity, like on the fly,
Yeah.
clearly. And I'm not talking 2 tracks as a DJ setup. I'm talking
Yeah.
like session view launching clips.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole different ball game versus like
That was your output.
just
huh?
loading up a couple tracks. What?
Output.
Well, I used that was
BPS
one of the
sound
things I
card.
went through a number of sound cards
Yeah.
to try to get that, all straight. I had me a little, it's actually over in storage, but I had me like a little, rig for the Akai controller that I finally started using to launch the clips, instead of, obviously it's impossible if you try to do it on a laptop.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do it.
No.
You might get DJ in Ableton off a laptop with like 2 tracks.
Sure. Yeah.
Trying
Yeah.
to do clip launching. I mean, maybe there's hotkeys for it all that might work for
Yeah.
somebody.
I wouldn't
You do a
trust it
shit
for-
ton of
yeah.
mapping and like, I don't think it would work. But anyway, so so one of the problems with that though was that a lot of the pretty cool little extra apps that people were creating were of course all done in Max for Live.
Mm.
And since that community was close, but not really, I think, the same company,
Yeah.
to me it seemed like exactly like, have y'all ever built a website like in WordPress?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how fucking disjointed it is? Like you can do anything, no doubt.
Sure.
It feels
Yeah,
like
yeah.
degree removed,
No doubt,
so.
you can do anything. In
yeah.
fact, write it all yourself as well, right?
Yeah.
It's like too open source, right? So since Max for Live was like this open source thing and all that, it just felt like there was like almost no like curation effort to verify something was going to work great,
Mm-hmm.
with
Sure.
Ableton. And so you're just constantly sifting through the sea of Max for Live add-ins, updates. Some do, some don't. You get reliant on one,
Right.
the developer disappears. So hopefully that's the biggest thing for me out of that acquisition is that hopefully it will,
Yeah.
even if the whole community is still open to do whatever, that's cool. But it wouldn't be a bad idea if there's like some official way for Ableton to then kind of be like, look, here's things that are kind of vetted and have a roadmap. And so if you're professional and you're going to rely on something for a while,
Sure.
these are things that have some
Like
kind
a
of
legacy
guidance
pack.
behind them. Right? You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
That can be real frustrating. So anyway, that's awesome. Well, speaking of building blocks, we have Jingo.
Wait, I want to go back to the story that you were going to tell. Do you remember what we were on before?
Oh yeah.
Oh, what were we going to talk
It's
about?
not a forgettable story.
Oh, it's a great story. Oh, we're talking about labeling your tracks.
Do it.
When you send them to people.
It's all you. And on that note, I'll move the first piece.
Yeah. So I went over to my buddy's house and I was looking for this track, and it was Eats Everything's remix of Circles that Adam F got really mad that he made a remix of and wouldn't let it be released. So it's like the only thing you can get is like some radio rip off the mix off YouTube or something. And I like refuse to do that. Like I just I'll take like a nice MP3 and play it, but I won't. But I won't.
Your 64K. Your 64K waveform.
Care how good it is. But I heard Eats Everything play it at LIB years ago, and I was talking about it. My buddy's like, "Oh, I got the track," and I'm like, "Wait, you have the track? How do you have the track?" He goes, "I got the track." I'm like, "All right." I'm leaving his name out of this one. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I go to his house. I'm super stoked. And I go and he plays the track for me. And I'm like, dude, this is super sick. This is not the track. This is footwork. This isn't like this was like tech house, you know? And he's like, oh, and he felt like super bad. And he was like, well, do you like juke? And I'm like, no, this is really dope. And he's like, oh, I'm going to give you a bunch of stuff. I'm like, cool. Gives me a bunch of stuff. I go home and just throw it into my library. And at the time I was just working for myself, just doing IT consulting. So I spent a lot of free time digging for music. So just music just coming SoundCloud and Bandcamp and who knows where. And so anyway, so I find this track in my iTunes. All right, come on, shake your hand. So this is really funny that I picked this game because I have really, really shaky hands.
And everybody, and anybody listening now or later, not watching, realize that every time we get 20 seconds of silence is because someone's stressing out about Jenga.
Right. So anyway, so I find this track and it is nuts. There's this like back the fuck up sample in it. And it's just like some of the meanest footwork 160, like in your face shit. And fell in love with it. Go to Utopia, and I go drop the song in my set. And the stage that I was playing on was the Dancernauts. They like got like a trailer home and built a sound system inside of it. So the effects of that is that the subwoofers are built into the trailer, so the whole thing vibrates. Really stupid design. It looked really cool. Really dumb design. But so anyway, so I'm playing and my S4
Serato box
tractor, a little S4 S4 tractor controller thing vibrates off and falls. And kills one of my RCAs on it. So I pick it back up, figure it out, have to hold.
Oh, like on the device side?
Yeah.
Bends it. Yeah.
So I have to hold it. So I'm getting 2 channels and then I have to like finish my set holding it, you know. Luckily it's a controlling tractor, so it's just wholly doable, but I'm just sitting there like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So get through the song. Boom. Get through it. I'm like, great. I hit up my buddy. I'm like, dude, I need you to bring your S4, but mine just fucked mine up and I have another set to play. So he ends up bringing it. So anyways, I think it was at Utopia. I've run into my buddy Austin Speed, and he's like, hey, he goes, were you the one that played Back the Fuck Up? And I was like, yeah, that was me. He goes, dude, I heard it and like ran down the hill. And before I could get down the hill, I guess you had swapped out or changed or whatever. But like, you know, he goes, dude, if I would have known that you were going to play that, like, I would have given you the like masters. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, all right, awesome. Well, I'll hit you up for them. So we get back to the real world. And this whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, wow, Austin does mastering. Like, that's cool. Oh. I'm like, I didn't know Austin. This is Austin Speed, by the way. I'm like, cool, he does mastering. I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, all right, don't even know that. All right,
sweet. Austin Powers.
So I hit him up and I'm like, hey man, you want to hook me up with masters? He's like, yeah, no problem. Boom, sends me the track. I click on it, add it to iTunes, and all of a sudden, now the name is not just called. Now the track isn't just called Back the Fuck Up, but it's called Calculon and Austin Speed Back the Fuck Up. And I'm like, I played this guy's unreleased music at Utopia. And he ran down the hill to come find me.
So label your shit.
Label your shit. Seriously, label your shit.
Yeah, so me and Austin are became very tight. We lived together for a couple years, and we worked together at Mr. Speakers, making really fancy high-end headphones. But yeah, we definitely bonded. Is my turn? Looks like my turn.
It is your turn.
But I love that
That's
story.
cool.
So
hey, the other thing on file naming, that's the theme today, I guess. You know, if you're gonna steal someone's music, or if you don't consider it stealing and you're just gonna appropriate it for your own purpose, you know, like peer sharing, whatever, at least, you know, leave the song title and artist name in the track. Because I've actually had times, not as long or good a story as yours, but I've actually had times where I've been somewhere and I've heard a song of mine playing, and I'll go up to the DJ and be like, "Hey, awesome, man," meet him, whatever. Really nice. "What's your name, dude?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, I like this track." I'll be like, "Who is it?" And he'll look and be like, "Oh, I don't know." And you look on the like CDJ screen, it's just untitled. So it's like, cat's out of the bag, folks. Like, if you're gonna steal a song and like give it away, like just leave the name and title.
Sure.
You're not doing anybody a favor.
You know, it's not like by calling it Untitled 4.
Right.
It's not like you're like hiding from the world.
I will say that there's one track that I play every once in a while and I won't tell people what it is, but I only do it for that one track. Everything else I don't care.
Well,
because I'm with you. Like the artist should know.
If it's for train spotting purposes or whatever, you know, fine. But yeah, I mean, if it's just sharing and whatever, like that cat's been out of the bag for a minute.
I will say though that it's on train spotting. DJ
Did
will
you see
remain.
the second movie?
DJ, no, I haven't.
Is
it? Okay.
You know, it's kind of like it's a lot of old people raving, dude.
Okay.
A lot of people 20 years later raving and doing drugs.
So it's like a breaks party.
Well, there's not a lot of Ken goals. And, you know, last year 2 years ago, I was setting the record for camouflage joggers.
Nice.
So what's this train spotting story?
I believe that guy.
I want to hear train spotting stories.
What?
Oh yeah.
Back to train spotting.
Dude, so like there's DJs that are very guilty of train spotting, whatever, like, you know.
Just say my name.
But I've
Are you kidding? Bro, I got Shazam on the watch now.
That's awesome.
Watch out, players.
Oh my god.
Don't give a shit. I could be giving you a hug, complimenting your
secret.
set. That's it.
Yeah, that's secret agent shit right there.
My favorite was watching somebody
what's up, brother?
bust out their phone on the CDJ on stage next to the DJ and take a picture of it with the flash. He's like, "Thanks, man," and put it back in his pocket, walked off, and I was like, "Oh my god."
I mean, is it still bad to do that? Like, I don't care.
No, I think he's just taking a picture of it on stage. I mean, Teresa, who gives a fuck? I don't fucking care.
There's schools of thought on it. Depends where
In
you
general,
came from.
But like, it just the audacity of this person being on stage and taking a picture of the CDJ.
Not even slide.
Yeah. This is also the same person that came up to me while I was DJing and told me that I was
badly
and told me that I was playing my Speed Garage too fast and that to slow it down. So
well, that's bass house.
Right. Exactly.
I have that.
Exactly.
I honestly never thought I would hear an actual EDM genre come all the way back around.
So am I doing this? Is that this?
That one's you're in for a hurting. Oh, if you get that out, dude. I tried. I was afraid things were gonna fall.
Shaky hands, fucking.
I really don't like the unsolicited opinion though.
Are we not stacking them?
Were we supposed? I
Oh,
forgot.
we're supposed to stack them,
right?
Yeah, you're supposed to stack them.
Oh.
You know what? We're doing our own thing.
We're doing our own thing.
I followed
Break
his
the
lead.
rules.
This is the juice edition.
We might play twice. I mean, it is upside down.
I just realized we're just stacking them there.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, everyone.
Have you ever played Jenga?
People are watching like, dude, why? Yeah, dude, I played.
I think it's Wes's fault. He started it.
5 years ago. I don't know.
Have you ever played it on fire?
No.
The legendary fire.
Hey, let's talk about fire. That's a good.
That's a Burning Man thing. Fucking burn. You just want to light everything on fire.
Usually, I tell people how I met guests.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how we met? I'm not sure I do.
I think we met through Brian Millar.
Omega Man.
He was like making Omega Man.
Are we live?
I love you. Yeah, nice. Omega Man. And then, like, you know, he's just like, dude, Wes is coming to town, whatever. And I think I just added you. I think we just were Facebook. And then then you hit me up and you're like, hey, man, what's up? Like, hey, I'm going to go buy Future. Like, what size shirt are you? And I'm like,
oh, right.
Tight. Yeah, so you just, you walked into my party and brought me a fucking shirt.
Sounds about right.
That was cool.
I've got a great story about how I met you guys.
Oh, yeah. Please. What's that out?
Oh. I have a great one. We all have good ones. Yes.
That's funny.
So there was once a party called Electric Poncho that was held in a beautiful place.
Oh yeah, I've heard of this.
In the Guadalupe, down in Baja, and you know it's a wonderful debaucherous event. And towards the end of it, I think
start stacking, or it's not going to work.
It's just not going to work forever. Yeah.
So I'm gonna.
Well, why don't we just? You want to just? Oh, how about we remove one and then?
Well, I'm just saying,
we add two.
If you can't move one, we'll start stacking.
No,
because we can't.
You remove one, you put it, and then you put one back too. Okay. So you add two. There we go.
Right.
So
that works.
There we go.
All right. Story time.
We're just making shit up on the fly.
So we're at this party, Electric Poncho, and if the canyon is a beautiful place, I recommend everybody to go there for just a real casual retreat. It's got wonderful hot springs everywhere. It's like why everybody wants to throw a party there. And a few different crews got pulled together on this one, and all names are going to be redacted from this for everybody's safety.
All right, cool.
But so the whole party's gone on for like 3 or 4 days at this point. The people throwing it and many people have gone, you know, it's in another country and it's kind of a hardship to get there. So a lot of people have been there for like 5 to 6 days at this point. And so, you know, people are exhausted from partying, and sometimes they've got some things on their mind, and, you know, they go talk to their friends about it. And I'm in camp and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself while talking about people getting things on their mind. But when I encounter Gus, he's just gotten done getting something off of his mind to a friend, and he's blowing into camp, red hot, in a dinosaur onesie. Just comes into camp and just kicking coolers over, knocking over tables, just like in a total rage. And I'm sitting there with one of my best friends, Lisa, and her and I are just like sitting there, like kind of wide-eyed at this amazing amount of energy that just came through and just landed into our camp and wrecked everything. We're like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? And, you know, Lisa is friends with Gus previously, so she's got the repertoire to like ask him what the hell is going on. And he comes up and he starts talking about how he went to go talk to someone about some art that they were choosing to use for something, and how it's actually a really close subject to him. And sometimes it might be worth it to check in with your friends about things that might be controversial pieces of art, especially if they're politically based or government based or things like that. You never know where people come from and what their backgrounds are and where you touch on things. And this particular piece of art really has a lot to do with Gus's history and with family and everything. And Gus felt as a friend he could talk to this person.
I don't like Che, so we can just I'm Cuban. So we'll just do that.
That's another disclaimer.
Yeah. So Gus, you know, felt that he was close enough to someone to actually explain it and just like say, hey, maybe consider this in the future. And it was unfortunately really just fallen to the wayside, and Gus was not at all treated with any sort of thought that maybe this would affect him. So a few snide remarks happened, and Gus, I guess, enjoyed a beer with him in the form of introducing it to his face while still in his hand, and then coming back into camp and just relaying all of this to us. So fast forward, that's the only time I see Gus, and then like 6 to 8 months later, I end up working at the same company. I'm really gonna be like, oh my God.
What was that, Magic Flight?
Magic Flight 2.0, yeah.
If you're ever going to guess where anybody in the, let's just say, rave scene collectively ever worked here that might know another person that worked here, just guess Magic Flight.
Yeah. So yeah, my first introduction to Gus was him just flying into a camp in a dinosaur onesie, just so angry that it's unbelievable.
It was great because Lisa was like, hey Gus, like I understand you're mad and like I feel you, like, but like can I just paint a picture for you? And I'm like, yeah, what? And then she's like, you're wearing a fucking dinosaur onesie right now. After doing that, and I just like looked at it and I was like,
when you come back a year from now, or 5 years from now, and we do this again, the room may be a little bigger, maybe not. I think we'll do the onesie show.
Yes,
go down. Kelly likes that, right?
Yes, I like it. Yes. We have already predetermined that we're not going to tell the story of when we met first.
Gus and I. That's right. Gus and I.
It makes it sound so naughty.
It does sound naughty, but
I know. We should just tell it now, because now
we did have an adventure to LA. I went up there one time to play at Avalon, and Gus and Brian Millar, we all went up there together. That was a good time. And that also ended, without mentioning any names,
dramatically.
That evening also ended dramatically.
Me and Paul and Millar hanging out, and it got dramatic. I adore that man. But
the amount of Centenario, I believe, is what was being drank like water in the back room.
I excused myself, and I wanted to go get food, and Wes came with me, so we hung out and got food together. It was dope.
Yeah. Oh, we did. That's right.
Yeah, we went to a diner.
That was the cool down dinner.
Yeah, it totally was. It's cool because I'm all like VIPing it with like, it's pretty big names. It was fun. It was cool. And then I was like, you know what? I'm kind of over this, and I rode out, and Wes was like, hey, I'm hungry. Let's go get food. And I'm like, sweet.
Yeah, that doesn't last like more than about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
it's about a good duration to hang out with cool people.
Yeah.
Not that the famous person gets exhausting. It's all the things around it that get exhausting.
Yeah.
And then the more drunk, it's crazy. Like we all know, like what happens as the night goes on. Yeah. But as the night goes on, and you're around, someone without a doubt recognizable, famous, etc. In a group of people, it just is amplified.
Are you talking about Millar?
No. The Crystal Method is who we were hanging out with.
That's right. The Avalon.
Yeah, and they were, they're well at the time LA based. Well, they still are. Scott is, and then so Avalon's in LA, and it's a big deal for them when they play in LA, once a year or whatever, and it's usually a really nice, something like Avalon or what's that one theater, the El Rey. Yeah.
I love the
cool places, right? Yeah, so cool. And they sell it out, and it's a nice night. It was cool. I was thankful to be there. It was fun, man.
Oh, me too. Night,
it
was totally great.
Yeah, maybe a tiny bit too much, big room.
I just did it.
Big room things, not from the Crystal Method, but
I remember actually what was really cool is me and Brian went out to like the smoking section. I don't smoke, but all my friends do, so I'm always in the smoking section. And there's this guy who's just belligerent, and we're just like sitting there, and the bouncers are like talking to him, and we're like, how is this guy like not getting kicked out yet? Like,
wasn't me.
No, it wasn't Wes. And finally we're like, dude, why aren't you kicking that guy out? What the fuck's his problem? He's I don't care. He's like, yeah, that's the basis for Tool. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's the exact reason why he's not getting kicked out. And he's like the one person out of that group who I don't know what he looks like.
That's something that happens in LA.
But super funny.
I wasn't saying that it was him being belligerent. I was saying he was cheating at Jenga. Watch him. You're telling stories, and Wes is like, here, let me hold this up.
Yeah, I had to do a 2-finger deal. Hands.
Sometimes certain situations require
2 fingers.
Gotta have a little finesse.
And we're just gonna leave it at that, folks. All right.
Let's talk about Moon Tribe.
This is probably a horrible idea. Let's talk about Moon Tribe. What's up, Moon Tribe?
Well, hello.
Teach me something.
All right. Well, yeah, that's kind of what my foray into music is for the most part. I do produce as well, but that's kind of my DJ life and production life and event curation life are kind of all schizophrenically a little different. Moon Tribe is something that's been around since 1993, and we're now into our 25th year.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah. But what's the cool part about not the fact that you've been doing a party for 23 years, but why is it cool?
We are a not-for-profit event. We actually don't post directions anywhere. We don't advertise. We don't actually pay for any sort of performers or anything.
I've only heard good things.
That's good.
Yeah.
We only take care of things like sound system and certain amenities of the land. That way everybody is safe on certain terms. I don't want to kind of give away too many of our secrets.
Sure.
Oh,
Dude.
That would have.
All right, calm down, Moon Tribe.
The table's sturdy, but it ain't like that.
We gather on the full moon. Not every single moon. We have a schedule that we decide earlier in the year, and it's kind of based on our volunteer needs and celestial events going on in conjunction with the full moon itself.
Nice.
Yeah, typically we throw about 6 to 8 events a year. They are out in the middle of nowhere, the good old-fashioned way. We don't release any event info until the day of the event. I help moderate some of the information that we disperse in the form of emails and stuff. So I actually very, very confidently say, it feels really nice to not send stuff out till 5 hours before an event and still see it warm as hell.
Yeah, that's great.
And if
I've heard that, so that's awesome.
And if you're a bad partier and he catches wind of you breaking
being a bad partier,
put it back on the top. What are you doing?
Unfortunately, yes, I am a gatekeeper. So one of my other responsibilities past playing music and arranging the dissemination of information is kind of guarding our community and making sure that we follow one of the tenets that's been a real big part of it from the start, and that would be making sure you're only inviting people you bring into your own home or give the keys to your house and take care of your mother, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And as we've been growing for many, many years, of course, there's times of expansion and shrinking back down in size, and it's hard to keep up and educating newcomers and keeping everything alive for 25 years while still keeping things pure.
That was spicy.
And you said 25 or 23?
25.
Okay.
Damn. This year is going to be freaking insane. Is July?
June.
How many a year do you do them?
6 to 8 a year we do.
And tell everybody what you're doing.
You're in Ron Burgundy.
What's your DJ information? What do you play and what's your DJ name?
Yeah, how do we find you?
As a DJ, you can find me on SoundCloud, probably easiest by typing in 4 letters. That'd be MYAD, Myad. It's my production name, but it is also associated with my DJ profile. I have 2 separate profiles for that just because they're kind of separate.
It's his cat's name, by the way.
It's his
thanks
cat's
for giving
name.
it away.
We were gonna have a contest.
He's a cat.
As far as DJ stuff goes, I typically do like techno, psytrance, anything psychedelic. Really is a big part of Moon Tribe, and kind of going to a nice long headspace and sound without walls is something we're proud of. So having things that are a little bit odd and hard to classify is a hard thing for us to still accomplish, but it's weird that we managed to treat it that way over the years still and keep it pure. But these days, for the past probably 3 or 4 years, I've been kind of the main guy playing breaks. I'm by no means the main breaks guy within Moon Tribe. John Kelly was probably the first one. Another wonderful artist of ours is Bartek.
Where's John these days?
John Kelly's based out of LA. He does still play with us. It's just kind of based on his schedule with work and stuff. He does professional level sound for a few studios and stuff. Nice. So he's definitely got a full plate along with Child and Family. Right. So he's definitely a big influence on things there. But these days, you know, we really enjoy the sort of dedication to a certain sound in our lineups, and getting breaks in there has been a real fun one.
Is that you?
It is. Yeah.
It looks like you.
That's a picture at Kava Lounge from like 8 years ago.
From like forever ago.
Kava.
Yep, Kava.
Yeah, so go check out. It's easy to find on Beatport too. Like just Google Beatport Myad MYAD. There's like a gazillion tracks on there. It's awesome.
Ranging from like mid-tempo to psytrance. I've got a breaks tune in there under electronica and stuff. Just whatever my mood is. I really kind of try to exercise that through sound, like any self-respecting artist would,
Yeah, I love it. What we probably share some similarity in terms of, well, the question is going to be if there's a similarity, the path of producers. I feel like often they probably start in one area, like breaks and breakbeat have definitely been a huge part of all the music I've ever made, and is still an influence, even if it's not in that genre, even probably without knowing it, you just lean into those types of things, right? And then this is shaky.
Yeah.
Would you say there was when you started producing, would you say there was a particular sound that was like kind of your thing for a bit, and then you started branching out?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a particular label out of Germany about 8 years ago now that had a really unique sound that they evolved a little bit away from. Their artists are still doing wonderful things, but it's a little different now. But at the time, it really captured a really bizarre kind of off-kilter, offbeat minimal that had some really strange psychedelic elements to it. It's called Fruit, German for fruit. Artists like Coder One and a few others on there were just really, really doing something different. And it was really, for it still being techno and you know, 4 on the floor driven sort of beat, it had some really interesting atmospheres that were non-repetitive, that were really drawing for me. And Out in Moon Tribe, which really had a huge, massive influence, which took me away from all the rave music I used to play.
Okay.
It really was just the
silly rave music.
The silly rave music, absolutely.
Silly ravers.
silly. But it had something a little bit more for me, and even though there was less constructively for it, it was still so much more appealing. And it wasn't even necessarily because of sound design. It just had a little certain more that I really, really at that time needed. Yeah. And then I kind of, as I wanted to get a better quality sound design out of my work, kind of evolved and kept moving more and more towards, this is a bad setup.
We got spicy. This bottom situation.
That's my fault.
It's just not good.
No, we got spicy. It's the game's it's anyone's game right now.
But, as I kept trying to
Jenga is getting real right now. I'm playing it online as you guys do it.
You're with us. But my ability to make music in high quality format, I keep trying to chase what sounds good, and my ability leads me towards psytrance. Even though I love breaks, I play them all the time and make them. I just seem to never have one where I am fully happy and satisfied to release out into the world. So. Yeah.
Well, we've had heated and non-heated genre debates on here in the last, Awesome. What is this, Kelly? Episode 43?
This is 42. I thought
that's the answer.
For the longest time, I thought psytrance was side trance.
That's fair. It is. Sometimes it's like,
I think I'm up.
You're up?
Yeah. He was first, and then.
Oh,
yeah,
it was his going. Oh, really?
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out.
Yeah. Oh,
clearly, I'm paying attention.
Dude, that's so sketchy.
This is very riveting right now. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm not even kidding you. I'm on the edge of my seat.
That's not moving. Man, there's only 2 here that I can see that are even allowed. Oh wait, there's one. To hold that. I'm sorry, folks. I'm gonna get the nickname like those old gangster names. 2 Fingers Wes.
Fingers Wes.
Oh, somebody can meme that.
You're not allowed to pick your own nickname, folks.
Yeah, I'm gonna meme that when I get
home. So you can't keep calling me that. That's awesome. What were we talking about there?
We were talking about parties in the desert.
That's true. You should come out to one, Wes.
I need to come to a Moon Tribe party for sure. I was talking about breaks and breakbeat stuff, and what I was gonna say is that the many times we've gotten into those topics here, I've kind of been like, I wanted to batch it. It came out. Great.
Yeah, I know you got it out. We'll fix it.
And from the producer perspective, like I understand genres. It's cool. You gotta, it helps a lot of people go buy music, and that's fine. But I think
it's my turn now.
Breaks has always been one of the confusing ones to me because as a producer, you're either going to do a break beat or a 4 on the floor or a combination, right? Like it's all it can be.
Yeah.
Like it can't be anything else if it's on a 4/4 pattern, right? So or a signature. So that's kind of how I've always looked at it. And then breaks somehow ended up being this genre that is like a very specific flavor of almost a strictly breakbeat, production element. It's strange. I went and listened to there's some good stuff in like the top 100, but I don't listen to it that often. And I went and listened to it like this week, and I was kind of like, wow, like I guess if someone had asked me to describe what breaks is, the genre, I would have probably missed it if they then went to Beatport and listened to what's there. I just haven't been listening to that a lot.
I have a pet peeve with breaks right now, and I'm going to tell you what that is.
Throw it out there.
Are you ready? Okay,
Yes.
so I just don't understand. Let me clear my throat. There's
Too much Mega Man, huh? Is that it? Too much.
So there's these pretty decent songs out there right now, but like it seems like there's a trend to like burp in them or just kind of shout out like shit.
Yeah,
body noises.
And
samples.
It's so weird. Like to me, it's so weird. Like there's one song, and I'm not gonna say who it was. It came out like 2 days ago, and it's decent. I would play it out, and then it's like in the middle of the song. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why would you do that?
You would not like squelches and psytrance.
Fun fact though, Brandon hates vocals and tracks, so I hate
repeating vocals, and I will do everything I can to edit them out.
Yeah. So he'll download a song and edit out the vocals and play it out. Yeah.
See, that's all I'm doing with the Yopax bros. I'm just putting them out there so that people can take out all the shit they don't like. Half the song and just shortcut to their own version.
Or let me take the MIDI and I'll add burps to it and see if it becomes.
That was sweet.
that's just it's a MIDI burp pattern.
The burp sample pack. Yeah. Like, you know what, 15, 20 years ago, it was the porn star sound sample pack for all the drum and bass heads. So.
Well, who was that? Lords of Acid is who left us with that shit legacy. I hope they made a lot of money,
right?
Because it definitely set back music at least 2 years.
I know. I was totally thinking of like porn star style from AK-400 too.
Oh man.
Yeah, but that was drum and bass. It was already like I love drum and bass, but I'm just saying because that was drum and bass, like nobody knew about it anyway.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure.
Well, then, yeah, for sure. Well, it's actually
even less people knew about breaks. So don't get me wrong. I'm not like I'm not hating. I'm not hating. I'm just saying like I have great friends that are in breaks and drum and bass and in some in different countries. You know, a lot here, a lot of San Diego, and I mean, there's no to me like from a music production or just music industry perspective person like there's nothing wrong. I mean. Recognizing what it is like the first step to recovery.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, breaks and the only time breaks ever ranks at the top of anything is alphabetically in the Beatport fucking genre list.
That's amazing.
You can quote that
unless there's a heist.
It's the truth.
If there's a heist, it's always a breakbeat.
True.
And a stand-up bass.
You know why? I have a theory on why this happens in movies and video games, breakbeats, because and they are quite popular there. Like that whole thing is from that game I did.
Yeah.
I have a theory on that, and that is that the people making the games, as in the developers and the designers and the storyboarders and the creatives on the gaming part.
Yeah.
They're usually not music producers, etc., which is why they go hire someone or find people, multiples. And so, but they are fans of music. And particularly if the games come from North America, like you know, unless you were born like maybe 5 years ago, like you can't really get away from band music, live band music being really your roots.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
And it's almost all breakbeat.
Yeah, totally.
You know, which is why I hate using the term breaks anyway, because like nobody calls a band. This has always been funny to me. Like literally every rock and roll song there is a syncopated, not 4 on the floor beat.
Right.
How come it's not called breaks?
Yeah.
If that's what it is, which to my point is that's why it makes no sense. So that genre has a very specific like thing to it, and I think it may be exclusive to the Beatport store. Is it called that anywhere else?
Breaks?
Yeah. Where else can you find that genre name, specifically truncated? Because if you go to like Traxsource or any of the UK stores, it's breakbeat.
Or
Just
electro.
And it'll range all the way from 100 to 140 BPM.
Sure.
Yeah,
But on Beatport, it's like literally 120. If it's 125 to 135 beats per minute, and it has anything,
you're right.
and it has one bar that's not 4 on the floor, it goes into that genre.
Yeah.
Electronica. The amount of Florida and 808 breaks that I get
in Electronica?
the Electronica section is almost nauseating.
But is the term breaks used anywhere else that you can think about?
Well, that's what I was going to say when I'm thinking of the
like
other
official
genres. No, it's always like electro, or something else.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Dude, that's what we're gonna. Next time I get tickets to go see a band, they're gonna be like, "Dude, what kind of music is it?" It'll be like breaks.
Right.
Anything but trance.
Is it your? No, it's
It's
my
breaks.
turn. It's my turn. It's right because you just went.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Offspring made some of the best breaks ever.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's getting down to the wire here. We got some super Jenga going on.
Right. The bottom is set up for failure.
Kelly, let's have a little fun with genres. What do we think are the top? What do you think in terms of let's say popularity? Starting with number. Oh, we'll start at the top. What do you think is the most popular, genre?
Okay, techno.
Worldwide.
I'm gonna go
We're talking worldwide. What do you think worldwide is the most popular genre that's kind of identifiable?
Techno and house.
I was going to say tech house if I was asked the question. That's
And we're not gonna consider EDM a genre, right? We're gonna call that the whole thing.
No, we're
That's the
adults.
whole
We
thing.
don't use that word.
It's the whole thing.
It's electronic music.
Everyone
or dance music.
Everyone here calls it electronic dance music. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's fine if you make
techno
that.
house, drum and bass.
Drum and bass is definitely not third.
Oh, I disagree.
There's no way drum and bass is third worldwide.
No.
Absolutely
Drum and
no
bass
way.
is way bigger than it was definitely when I
Sure.
first started listening to it, and
Sure.
where it was 3 years ago. But
Right.
no.
But
top would be house, deep house, deep house.
Top is like techno, deep house.
People call everything deep house.
You didn't say subgenres. You said
What did you say? Techno? You said techno? House. House is the top.
I said house.
Techno maybe second,
Sure.
third.
Yeah.
What came after that? Trance is still huge.
No.
Trance
Still big?
is there's definitely so trans people are trans people and they're trans people for the rest of their lives.
And there's a lot. My point is,
And
there's a lot more of them.
There's a lot more of them than there used to be. I know.
Yeah.
They've come out of the basement.
I mean, above and beyond just, they sold out Barclays Center here in Brooklyn. So
dubstep, you can't sleep on that, man. I mean,
dubstep,
massive, dude. It's got to be top 5. It's got to be top 5.
Sure.
Dude.
For sure, yeah.
Half the people I follow on Twitter are dubstep.
Do we want to slam them together with trap? Because I mean, trap's fucking pretty huge too, man.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. You can just leave it hanging, bro. I'm okay with that being in the genre list. So we got trap up in the top 10 for sure. Dubstep.
You're gonna
Dare to fail.
It's done.
No, you're gonna fail.
It's done.
it's done. That's it. Shoot, look, all different angles.
Ladies and gentlemen, gravity always wins.
Variety ShYo technical difficulties.
What happened?
No, it's just
they're
all hitting the keys.
Blink. Oh.
Well, if you're not watching this, you hear it later on. You're like, what happened? That hurt my ears.
I think
I'm trying to
things that are
sleep.
important.
It's like I've got my Apple podcast list, and it went from The Moth to Variety ShYo. What's weird?
Such a DB spike.
You wake up the next day, and you're like, why am I thinking of Gus? Because you fell asleep listening to your podcast playlist.
I'm sorry.
Right? Let's do. You go for one more round?
Yeah,
we have another beer, don't we?
Yeah, there's one more.
Oh, yeah.
Right for you, buddy.
No man left standing.
Oh.
I think we got about 8 genres in there. Not bad.
Carl on it. I think it's important too with genres is that, we like to silo everything and do all that, but when people start going out, they don't know what the genre is.
And more importantly, probably don't care.
And really don't care.
Or equally importantly, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I remember really wanting to get into electronic music as a younger kid and not knowing how to even go about looking for what I wanted.
You were frustrated by that, right? So you didn't know. So I think that one of the things that people talk about all the time is how do we get younger people into listening to this type of music? And my idea on that is really to stop siloing so much and helping people figure out what they do like. Because I do think, I mean, I'm going to say it, I'm not a dubstep fan. I like some dubstep, but I think that's kind of just like the go-to. It's like whatever is hot at the time, and then they become tech house fans after that, you know?
Well, I gotta say though, my dubstep ad is like, I gotta say, like, I don't think I've ever really listened to it like just chilling out here or something, doing stuff, but I played a few shows where I played either before or after a pretty big dubstep name. And that was definitely like the biggest, you know, that was the headliner, let's call it. And then there were a couple co-headliners or something like that. And I gotta tell you, like, it was pretty fun, man.
What do you play? Like, how do you follow?
Headbang and just headbang. Like, that old headbang swing thing, dude, you get going with the crowd. And it's like, I mean, people may or may not want to hear this that are really into dubstep and that whole vibe, but it's like the closest thing. It's the closest thing in electronic dance music that I've ever felt in terms of being at a show and feeling like I was at a punk rock concert.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're fucking
straight
headbanging.
up, dude.
Straight
yeah, I mean, it's
headbanging.
straight up. It's that kind of energy.
There is,
and so I can totally see that appeal because there really are no punk bands right now.
Yeah,
that are
rock scene. Yeah, pretty lame right now.
Right.
But that's what drew me. Like, I was a hardcore punk rock kid. And then I discovered drum and bass, and I discovered drum and bass through AK-1200. Imagine that, I'm from Miami, so
shocker.
And I fell in love with it immediately. It's just high energy and the speed, and it was cool because I would go to the hardcore shows because they were earlier always, and then I'd go to the drum and bass shows right afterwards, and I was like, whoa, they're wearing the hat and the band shirt and like army cargos, and they did. I was like, man, what is this electronic show? I don't know. And I walked in. I was like, it looked like everybody else in this room. Cool.
First dubstep show I heard was in New York. Actually, I heard. That guy, Rusko. Is that how you pronounce it? Rusko.
Yep. Rusko.
Yeah, I think it's Rusko.
It was a while ago.
I always want to say Rusko.
It was about
because I roll my R's, but
yeah. But and then I've seen Skrillex live, and that was a lot of fun. And it's a whole different thing when you're, it's 20,000 people.
Oh yeah.
Versus like the Rusko thing was maybe 2,000 and then maybe 1,000 under a tent in a festival in New York. And then the Skrillex thing was just out of control, dude. And the crazy part is it was Fatboy Slim and Skrillex back to back.
Wow.
You just can't, like, you can't get a more eclectic, bizarre crowd.
That's awesome.
Jamming. Yeah. And it was at the time, it was actually at Coachella, and it was like maybe the same year. It was probably the same year that he released that Fatboy released that electro. What was I forget the hook to it. The Eat, Sleep, Rave, Repeat. It was the year he released that. So when he played that, of course, the place goes bonkers.
Guys, if we could not use the voiceover Mac vocal thing ever again, that would be fucking great.
You wouldn't like psytrance either.
You showed me fucking psytrance that I love, actually. But in general,
props to him, dude. Props to him, dude. That's like printing money.
Yeah, for sure.
Fucking printing money.
Forever.
The Bank of Norman Cook. Is it me? You?
Yeah, it's you.
Jesus.
No, but on the topic of samples, there's nothing better than the house. This is house music.
Hey, what yeah, right.
Sample.
You mean house creature?
When you get that feeling,
you mean
when
house
you get that
down
feeling
inside,
and
your stomach's bubbling because you ate too much Taco Bell.
That's house.
That's house music.
my favorite voiceover person ever, probably like everyone else's, is Green Velvet, dude. Watching that guy do his like sort of, I mean, it's like it's not an overproduced vocal. It's just like him talking, I think. Like, because I saw him live do it once. I assume it was live, versus a backing track. And it was just funny, man. Like watching him just speak the, like the whole La La Land, and this is like, this is pretty funny, man.
One that's always gotten me live is Jekyll and Hyde doing his vocal stuff. Yeah.
I've never seen that live, but it's pretty cool. And it's amazing how much difference just that simple little vocal, like Green Velvet doing that live, could the element it added to the crowd and the dance floor energy, with really not, like, not that that's not maybe hard for him to do or as a talent, but it's just it's like one track of the, like in 30 of that song is that, but it was awesome. It was pretty cool.
Well, like he was saying, I'm not a fan of vocals, but for example, Jekyll and Hyde live, those vocals, it's a really interesting and different experience. It really works the crowd nicely. Come on, you got this. You just tapping the pieces, huh?
So
Tap that shit.
While Gus is doing that, we have an intermission. Don't worry, folks. We're not going anywhere. We're just gonna talk about Mama Chia. Kelly, have you drank this stuff?
So gross.
No, he said. Did you just say it was gross?
No,
anything.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome.
I have not had Mama Chia, but I can one up you maybe.
I managed to fall into a case of this stuff, and they're from,
fell off the back of a truck.
I stole it from the delivery guy across the street at the Chris Cola Liquors. No, I was gifted a Mama Chia coconut mango chia beverage, and it's pretty spot on. I mean, they say there's some stuff here, seeds and salt. It's kind of fun.
What's in it?
They have this slogan. I don't see it on this bottle, but I saw it somewhere. I think it was like fun for your mouth, good for your soul, or something like that.
Good for your
And it is kind of fun for your mouth, man. I mean, like, hey.
Okay, look,
Whatever you're into, Wes.
Whatever you're into, man.
There you go. Yeah, it's gross.
This is my Mama Chia right here.
Oh, you found. Is this custom Mama Chia?
It's custom Mama Chia.
What is that?
I was.
Oh, it's disgusting.
breaking down the
It's got
at a
cherries in it.
desert party, and it was one of the Stargates, and I went to go grab some water and chugged it down, and then felt something tickling going down my throat, and fucking spit it all out everywhere, completely grossed out. And I looked, and it looked like tadpoles, and I'm like, how the fuck are there tadpoles in the desert? And then I realized what it was, and oh yeah. So
can you imagine if that was the first time you weren't sure what it was, and there was no label, and you're like,
yeah,
you go to sleep that night, and the whole time you're thinking some X-Files shit's gonna like grow.
That's what it looks
inside
like.
of you.
I mean, it looks like
It does look creepy.
looks like some Stranger Things fucking drink.
I probably would have not drank this back when I lived on the East Coast, and now, like out here, this is tame for the randomness you see in a bottle out here. Probably everywhere, but about 10 years now.
There's all kinds of weird stuff. It's okay.
And different places, but about 7, I guess, in San Diego. Yeah. Which, speaking of San Diego, unrelated to music, let's talk about 2018 things, man. Volleyball's new for me. What's new for you?
Wow.
I mean, am I not looking buff?
Volleyball specifically.
The Top Gun fucking scene is just playing through my head right now.
Oh yeah,
Fucking
dude.
Goose
Hey,
Maverick.
hey, Gus,
Everyone else had
hey,
that in
Gus,
their head.
straighten your arms. No, Ben, straighten your arms.
I mean, you do live in PV, so
Dude, you got to do something.
yeah.
It's fun. I'm on my 5th lesson.
Nice.
It's pretty funny as a, dare I say, fully formed adult to start taking lessons in something you've never done before.
Sure.
That's pretty fun. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I took a lesson in something I had no experience in. Yeah.
Can't say
Humbling.
I know when the last time I did that was.
Yeah. Yeah. But anything new happened in 2018 outside of music?
I mean, outside of music,
Yeah.
I mean, my day job is music related. My free time is music related. So it's kind of hard to say outside of that. No, not really. I mean, I plan on buying a car this year.
Oh, that's cool.
That's kind of casual.
A new car. You have a car.
new car.
A new car.
Yeah.
Wait, a different car? Or,
as a full-fledged adult, I'm like, I just want to buy something.
You taking all that Grammy money and getting a Tesla?
Oh, yeah, from all those Beatport sales. You know how that works.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I'm an adult now. I've been driving the same Civic since 2000. I want a brand new Civic.
By the way, music producer intermission. If you're sitting here, well, if you're still sitting here now or in the future, bless you. But many people know that the good stuff comes at like an hour and a half here. Anyway, what I was gonna say though is, if you're sitting there trying to think like as a young budding producer, and you've gotten past, Logic versus Ableton, and you've made the right choice and gone to Ableton.
But hey,
that's great because you're going to save like 90% of your time. And you'll have time to do some of this other stuff. And so my point was going to be is if you're young,
so you might as well.
So wait, are you saying that like use Ableton so you have more time to play volleyball?
That's right. So if you're young, no, what I'm saying is if you're young and you're sitting there trying to figure out of all the craziness and you realize that Twitter is a bunch of shit most of the time.
It's a one-sided conversation. I can't follow it.
It's so crazy. We'll get to that. Yeah, we got to talk about that in a second. I had a Twitter feud this week. My first. It was awesome. It was over cryptocurrency too. It was great. Anyway, back to that music producer part. So what I was going to say is if you're trying to figure out, you're still living at home, you're trying to figure out how am I going to, like, what's my best opportunity to be able to do this for a living? It's going to be, yes, you have to network. Yes, you have to meet people. But my point is going to be, I would almost focus all of that attention on trying to not change your style, but trying to, if possible, meet people that are in the licensing business for film and video games. I really think, I mean, it's easy to look back historically and say that's where the money's at, and I will confirm that. But I also definitely think if you look at, video game sales and a lot of what's going on, like in the decentralized, internet, next internet, all of it
is amazing.
Games is just going wild, continues to grow like crazy. And the reason is those people pay.
The sound in one of the games I've been playing the last year is just absolutely phenomenal. That Breath of the Wild, that has taken me the whole time. And there's almost no music in it. And it's just, you're hanging on the thread.
And some of it's not dance music, but a lot of it is. A lot of it's dance and energy and, stuff. And I found, when we were talking about genres before, what I was going to say is, doing that game, that actually, I mean, I got exposed to a lot of different sounds when I came to California, and I loved it for that because it was definitely the desert, the deep house. Like I never heard that stuff over when I lived in New York. It was there, but not in the same volume and not in the circle I was exposed to. So it just happened that way,
Did we go?
Me? I think it's me.
Okay.
Yeah. But the game formally opened not just my eyes to it, but the necessity to do some different things, because you're doing tracks, you want them to be your style, but they need to be a little less energy and slower for like the menu items in the game, like selecting your wheels for the car,
right,
and selecting like your paint jobs and stuff. You don't want the same energy level there, right, as when you're in championship rounds.
So did you focus on full pieces or like smaller sound design for effects and stuff?
So with that game, the only thing they asked me to do is make songs, and they wanted them to all be dance music, but they just needed a variety of energy levels and tempos. Okay. Yeah. So that project really is what got me, professional about doing 100 beat per minute, glitch hop range 100 to 110, a little bit of house, bass house stuff in the 115 to 125, some super hyper straight up breakbeat stuff, in the 128, 130, 135. So it's a pretty broad, 35 beats per minute, in my opinion, is a pretty broad range to be making not just the tempo. Like you can't just take like a glitch hop track and change it from 110 to 138 and call it good. Game people aren't going to buy that because they just know that's what you did. So it's like you really got to start at that tempo.
Sure.
And what they were the most helpful with, to answer your question, like towards me, they were very open creatively, but they were like, look, we'll do all the sound effects. And they introduced me to that guy who's like, this award-winning dude that does all the hoots and whistles and crashes and bombs and all that.
Cool.
Awesome, dude. Yeah. So I didn't have to worry about any of that. They were like, look, you just make the stuff and give us the instrumental and then the original. And then we'll just decide, and then they came back and had me give them stems for some things. And actually part of that project in doing that was when I really got to thinking about doing the Yopac stuff because I was like, oh, that would be cool.
Right. Yeah.
And that audience, dude, that audience is like 1 million kids between like 11 and 15.
Yeah.
like around the world.
Sure.
And of course, outside of that too. But that's their target, and that was the out of the 10 million downloads of that game, it's like 95% can't go to a nightclub.
Right.
So yeah. So it's like, and the funny part about that is like, just the other day was like, it started to happen a little more frequently, but just the other day, someone hit me up on Facebook. I didn't know who they were. I accepted the friend request thing, and they were like, "Oh, dude," they're like, "I actually heard about you because I was a huge fan of the TTR World Tour game." And I was like, "Huh, that's pretty funny."
Planted.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Exception.
My joke all the time when I took that project was like, I was like, "Oh, you know what? This is going to be like, basically, not a single person that hears any of this music is going to even be able to go to a show for like 10 years." Right? So like 8 years from now, I'm going to start seeing like the party goer results.
Right.
And at that point, they're going to be like, "I think that guy made music for a video game." Right? So I can't change the logo. Yeah. I can't change the sideburns.
No.
Because it's on the back of the bus in the game. I don't know if you ever saw the game, but on the back of the car, they skinned the car.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks a lot like that. That's a different artist rendition of it, but very similar. And on the wheel cover on the back of the Winnebago, they put the head logo. So like anytime you're following that car around in the thing, like that's all you're seeing.
That's hilarious.
Have you ever thought about shaving the mutton chops off?
Well, as you saw in last week's episode with Elliot, I had a phase where I had a beard.
I know, that was crazy. I didn't even know that was you.
Yeah, like I don't know what I was thinking.
You had glasses and a beard. I don't know. I was so confused.
I'm actually pretty sure I know what I was thinking. I had a phase, and I think it was right around then. Does anybody remember? You remember that movie Tom Cruise was in where he kind of went out of his
A lot of Tom Cruise today. A lot of Tom Cruise today. Like the third time we mentioned Tom Cruise.
A lot of it.
It's the volleyball.
Do you remember the movie? Yeah. Do you remember the movie? He was like an assassin. Does anyone remember the name of that movie?
No, that's not. Older.
Vanilla Sky?
Cocktails.
No.
Cocktail. Yes.
It wasn't like, I mean, all his movies have done well, but it was was one of the first movies I saw where he went like away from the Top Guns, or the sex symbol thing. He was like this brutal assassin.
Mission Impossible.
I was gonna make the same joke.
Not the Mission ones. It was before that.
Those movies are still coming out.
Vanilla Sky?
That's what I said.
Yeah, that's the one.
Collateral.
Yeah. Collateral. He gets in the back of a taxi. The taxi driver is like, who's the dude that? I was gonna say this is real helpful. Who's the dude that turned to a singer?
Oh yeah,
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie
Foxx is the cab driver in the movie.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this.
Collateral. What year did it come out, Kelly?
2004.
2004?
Yeah, I'm on it. I got this.
Oh, okay.
So I usually see movies about 2 to 3 years after they come out. Which is probably about right. I was going to guess about 10 years ago. So the part about the beard, here's what I was going to say. I thought it would be a good idea, like in that whole movie, through all his killing and whatever, he wears the same gray suit, like full suit.
Yeah.
He's like this, elite business killer.
And doesn't he have Jamie Foxx keep driving him to kill the kill?
Yes. Got it.
Oh, he's got gray hair.
So Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking, and it's the only time it ever happened to me watching a movie or really probably anything. I was like, I need to get a fucking suit like that. And I looked for one for like 6 months to get a suit, just like the one he had in that movie.
It's like Tom Cruise is too cool. I need a suit.
And it was that phase where like Brad Pitt and everyone else was doing the part shave thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I get that suit and I have that like 6 o'clock shadow, I'm gold with the ladies. So
but the picture that Elliot showed me, you had the shadow and you had these really like tortoise shell glasses on and a headband.
Well, we were at a disco party.
Okay, because I'm looking at the picture.
Yeah, we were legit at a disco party.
No, it's not the same picture.
Okay,
fine.
Disco roller skating party. Like the whole party is roller skating. They turn the basement of a hotel into a circular skating rink, parking lot.
I love that.
And you have to dress disco. You know, or you look stupid.
Yeah,
because you're there in your Tom Cruise gray suit with roller skates on. Everyone's like, dude, why are you here? Because here in San Diego, people would be like, hey, cool suit.
Yeah.
Like in New York, they're gonna be like, who's the Wall Street guy?
Yeah.
You're right.
Your turn, Mr.
I think it's my turn.
How's the Jenga going, guys? Doing well?
We're working it.
We're going good. We're doing good.
We're
playing it corrector.
We're twerking it.
Correct.
Nope.
Yeah.
West still wants to throw it on the floor.
Let's talk about what do y'all think about Twitter? How's your Twitter life?
I worked for 8 years in marketing at a ski resort, and I used to have to manage every single social account in the world. And now,
sorry to hear that.
It's okay. I got oversaturated. Now I don't do that job.
Money.
Yeah, I did. It was great, you know. And even though I had to use it every single day, Twitter is one of the apps that literally makes me feel old. I don't understand its full appeal. I understand how to operate it.
Yeah.
I understand all of that aspect, and it's quick to like speak to companies. It's great direct contact, but I still don't understand its draw overall. It seems to elude me, and there's the moment where it's like, I guess I'm just too old for things. I need to just accept it and retire from my internet.
I feel you. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't think it has anything to do with, like, if you technically know how, like, there's this difference, like you just said, right? There's this difference between, like, being whatever the generation blocks are 10 years. And if you just don't know how to use technology, that's one thing.
That's
like,
frustrating.
Try to get up. It's frustrating too, but get up to speed, whatever, if you can. Or you're just not interested in it, fine, no problem. But like all three of us and Kelly, we're all, I spend a ton of time in technology.
Savvy enough.
There's definitely nothing I'm afraid to try to use. And like all the social media stuff is like silly in terms of complexity of use. That's what I mean. It's silly. I don't mean its function for culture is silly, but it's not hard. Is my point.
No, utilitarian purposes.
It's not difficult.
Right.
So that is like lowest common denominator in terms of complexity of technology that I am, that I use on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. It definitely is not a social media application. So like I get it, and then I agree with you on like we're in the same boat in that, and Gus probably, and then it's like, but I do like think like I think really hard before I like try to participate, because not because I don't like I said, not because I'm gonna post it to the wrong guy or whatever. It's none of that. It's just like I watch what goes on among the people I follow and the people that may like a tweet or something on Instagram, whatever. And then I'm always like, particularly with Twitter, I'm just like, dude, I have to get prepared. I'm like, do I want to post?
Do I want to engage?
Is this how I want to spend my time today? Like making a comment?
Yeah.
Because I don't know about y'all, but I can't not participate once I've engaged and there's reciprocation. I can't not participate until it's reached a point where we're all kind of like, oh, cool.
Well, if you don't participate,
even if we don't like
what's
each
the
other?
Point in posting? In
exactly, right? So for me, I got to get prepared for that, man. I don't know if you're like that, but dude.
Oh, absolutely.
I open up a lot of can of whoop ass on social media, and it's. I mean,
it's a great.
I made my bed.
I just had a 2-day-long argument with someone privately about what art is to us, and at a point it's like, dude, it's subjective. You can't make a case this or that, and it's just 2 days in private. And I realized, like, if I was using a different platform, this would have been visible to the entire world.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, it's got its limitation. I'm not even necessarily bothered by that because I don't post anything longer really than that in most circumstances.
I like the limitation. A lot of people do.
Yeah, and,
sure.
It actually reminds me of working with limited production tools. Actually, be more concise with your goals.
Yeah.
So
it's like working with Acid versus Ableton.
That's really funny. That Screen Blast Acid 2.0 was the first thing that I actually started with.
That's earlier than me. I think I got into that on 3.
I touched Ableton for the first time thanks to a demo of Ableton 2.0 off of DJ Rap's CD, Touching Bass.
Touching Bass, yes.
Yep. That was before Ableton would even support anything beyond loops. No
Kelly's not a
VSTs, none of it.
Kelly's not a drum and bass fan at all.
Woo!
Not at all. Not at all. She's actually starting a school right now. Well, she has a school, and she's doing an Ableton 10 master class. I think that's coming out in like a week.
That's wonderful. Hey,
That's
speaking
cool.
of Ableton 10, just like production moment, the nerds will enjoy and answer this question if there is one. And we already had the Logic versus Ableton.
Yeah.
We know that warping has now been introduced to Logic when they did their update to try and keep up.
Well, we know because Brian Millar told us.
Yeah, right.
So excited about it.
We know
So
because
excited.
we know because Brian Millar took the time to highlight. Did you see it? He took the time to highlight the sentence.
Yeah.
Now,
And we're all like, and all three of us jumped on the same thread, and we're like,
really?
wait, that just became available.
I thought about that for a second, and I was like I felt a little better because it was Facebook. Because but I do think about it when it's public because like we were having fun jumping on Brian.
Yeah.
And we didn't say anything bad, but it was definitely harassment, you know. Like, and I just think like I wonder if there's people that see that are kind of like, who's this asshole Wes Smith? You know? And then oh shit, who's this Gus guy?
Yeah.
You know, or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. My question is though, because there's one thing that now has been added over to Logic, something I'm curious about an upgrade to Ableton that might have been following something Logic's had for a really long time. Is Space Designer in Logic allowed you to kind of, with your ping pongs and your delays, decide where in your spectrum it's actually going. I've seen a new display on the delay in Ableton. Is it similar to
I think it's
Designer?
that echo. Yeah. Well, I'm not real familiar with the piece in Logic that you're referring to, but because I'm not a Logic guy anymore,
For
I dropped out of that at Ableton 7, maybe. I moved from Logic
With the dongle. Did you have
Yeah.
the dongle years?
Yeah,
Don't lose the dongle.
I
dirty work. Don't
really
say
enjoyed
dongle.
Logic until I liked it even when Apple acquired it. It was fine. They did a sweet UI overhaul. And it was a to me it was a nice kind of flatter UI version of what the 5 versions had or 4 versions had been prior, whatever it was. When it was can't remember the name of the company that originally made it, German company.
I don't.
Right, but then when they went to the second iteration that Apple decided to get nutty with all their 3D buttons and shit, I couldn't take it anymore. Yeah. And then someone just happened to I just wasn't enchanted, and someone happened to introduce me to Ableton. I was like, yeah.
So fun fact about
Let's do that.
Fun fact. So I worked at Apple at the Apple store for like 6 years, and I was there when Logic 7 was out, and so you have to use the dongle. It had the little white dongle with the Apple logo on it, and so all of our machines would show the products, Final Cut and whatever. So to demo Logic, you still needed the dongle.
Oh wow.
So smart little fuckers used to come in and steal the dongle, and they had Logic because all they had to do was pirate, just download the DMGs online, and then they had their fucking dongle. So that was it's really funny.
To answer your question, I couldn't remember it right off, but I think what the answer to that was the backdoor with the echo and modulation and character. If you look at the plugin right here, you can't see it great, but Ableton. So so you can spatialize those things now.
Cool. Yeah. For a lot of my sound design with my delays, I actually like to have like something centered and then off to the right, and then have a response on the other side.
Makes sense. Yeah, totally. I'm excited about getting into it with the new things in Ableton. Previously, you had to use plugins to get anything done.
Do it manually.
Yeah.
So that's why, that's one thing that's really exciting to me, along with the way.
You might that probably do the trick now, but prior to that, use any of the BrainWorks VSTs or AU?
No, I'm familiar with the company.
Yeah, they do some stuff that was,
So they do like the SST tool,
particularly like in the stereo
mixing.
imaging. Yeah, they've got a few things in there. Yeah,
one of their freewares.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And there's some really good tutorials out there on specifically getting that accomplished with it.
Bro, you just need sausage fattener on everything.
The display is
Dude.
amazing.
That's it, bro. That's the secret. You just make it real angry.
What I love about that is that Data Life is just they're like approaching Fatboy Slim money.
Yeah.
With like the simplest VST ever.
A fucking sausage with one dial.
As long as it gets the angry face, it's working.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's totally awesome.
There used to be this plugin. It was pretty awesome. Live Cut. You guys ever use that?
Uh-huh.
It was like Dude, I always thought like IDM was the most amazing
That
shit
is
on the
super trigger.
planet. And then
Is that internet dance music?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yes, it is.
No, it's intelligent dance music, right?
Oh, intelligent, right?
But Live Cut was cool because it just let you make glitch kind of randomly. So what you would do is you would just like, you know, bust it into another channel and just record all the weird shit that you're making and then go in and copy and paste and edit. Yeah. Well then, because before that it was glitch and then, yeah, and then they released it for Mac because you could only get it for PC. So, but yeah, Live Cut was fun.
Yeah, stutter edit's an ocean of fun.
Yeah, it's a beast right there.
Yeah, I think a lot of, you know, I think a lot of people, anytime, maybe 25% of the shows where we've ever had any production talk on here, and you know, I think a lot of people don't use MIDI, dude.
Oh, I live
Tons.
in MIDI. I live in MIDI.
I don't know
freeze in
how
time all the time, but I live in MIDI
I mean,
at the same time.
if there's anything that you know, aside from appearance and my hat, that make me you know, perhaps feel, you know, like, or appear dated, it's funny, it's the use of MIDI. Like, I don't think, like, I run into a lot of people, dude, talk to them, and I think that's why they don't use stutter edit.
Because they don't understand.
If you don't understand, yeah, right?
It's difficult.
Oh.
LFO tool by SFR Records. If you're familiar with MIDI routing on it,
yeah,
you can make amazing basses with that filter by just sending your kick with a simple delay to it. But you have to really understand your MIDI routing to be able to get it bounced back and forth and have it keyed properly by just literally hitting the key. And perfect bass.
So note to anybody on the production side of the world, if you have never used MIDI intentionally, like go find yourself a
Did you see what I did at the bass?
Go find yourself. That sucks, dude. Spoiling the party. Go find yourself a
do you think I was gonna pick a board game that I wasn't good at? Like,
go find yourself a
something
great
that's interesting.
Good at
MIDI
Jenga
specific
is
tutorial.
really subjective.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Ableton takes it serious because they put a lot of new good things in 10 with MIDI to be able to just much more fluidly in your workflow use it, you know, adjusting things in batches and so forth and so on.
Yeah,
it was a little
nesting
weak.
group stuff too for mix down work.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, there was definitely better, you know, MIDI visualization and manipulation DAWs out there, but I think this is going to do the trick.
You mentioned being a fan of the Max for Live community. Are you a user of or a fan of the Reactor community?
Nope.
That's insane. That's another.
Oh, that's crazy people. That's crazy people stuff. Like, what's the guy's name that did that created the finger?
Is it me?
Plugin. Yeah, it's you from Native Instruments.
It's not the guy who made.
Not Richard Devine.
It's not the guy who made Razor.
Hey, Kelly.
Theorem. I don't know.
She's still there.
He was from Moving Shadow. This guy was from Moving Shadow, and he does stuff with Native Instruments. He created the finger plugin.
Okay.
I love her. You're like the person behind the computer, you know, like
she's looking up stuff.
Like in Spider-Man, you know, he's like, did you see the latest Spider-Man?
No,
you didn't. Oh my god, it's so good.
You did.
Dude, it's so good. But his best friend is like, dude, can I be the guy behind the compuder? So at some point he gets behind the computer and he's like looking stuff up and like, you know, and it's cool. But that's
this is like the ADD show. We changed direction so fast. Poor Agent 137.
Wait, it's my turn.
Poor Agent 137. He can't sleuth it out fast enough. It's
who got spicy down here?
I'm not sure who did it. It doesn't really say. Tim Exile, maybe?
Yes, that's him. He's insane. He's pretty crazy. Him and
some amazing records.
Yeah, but he's Moving Shadow, old fucking old 90s drum and bass label action right there.
Maybe the best logo in the history of EDM logos.
Yeah. They're great. Kids, if you like drum and bass, you know who I'm talking about.
Someone spilled some paint.
Yeah.
While the record was turning and was like,
dude,
it looks like a person.
It looks almost like a ninja.
No, it was actually probably designed in like the first ever elastic program for Photoshop. Right? It was probably the first plugin Photoshop ever had. It was like an elastic plugin. And they're like, look, dude, you can just stretch stuff. And someone's like, let's spin it. Done. Go to press.
Yep.
Awesome.
To be there in the easy days. Well, not easy. Early days.
Yeah.
I looked for a picture of the logo, and there is a picture of him biting a Novation launch pad.
Yeah, he's pretty crazy. He uses these Behringer. I don't know if he still does anymore, but he uses these old school Behringer MIDI controllers, and just like Behringer. I know, weird, but apparently like those controllers are really good.
Yeah, like,
by the way,
that's
Behringer came out with like their like digital mixer, like it's a rack and it's iPad controlled, and the thing freaking died on us on New Year's at 9. Before we were doing bands.
That's the other area.
Oh yeah, it was great. So Behringer, you still suck.
That's the other area. If old school ever kills me, not so much like the music style, but like mixing style. Like I've yet to find like, first, I just haven't found a lot of fun in using the modern equipment to just fuck up songs. You know what I mean? Like it's not fun to me. Dance floor is still fine.
Yeah,
and I don't see a noticeable difference between someone who's absolutely butchering everything. There are some talented folks too, but there's a lot of butchering. So I haven't found like that. But fortunately for me, I haven't found any enjoyment whatsoever in butchering songs. So I don't.
Your medium should not be butchering.
It just doesn't.
It should be supplementing your goal.
Appeal to me.
You got this, Gus. Come on, one of these blocks.
Hey, what do we all think? Hey, Kelly, you're actually the first person I saw post about the U.S. stock market taking a shit this week.
Yeah. Yes.
The main reason we have to mention this is so that when the episode is done and Kelly distributes it, she's allowed to use hashtag, stock market crash, hashtag cryptocurrency crash, and you get more views.
Yeah. Oh wait, I just checked the account and it's down again.
By the way, stock communities actually they don't care. Crypto community,
that's
sensitive.
Oh yeah,
but I love you guys. I understand the technology, just like Twitter. I get it.
Right? Yeah. I don't know,
and I'm all for it.
So
there's a fundamental problem. Like, I want to talk to you guys about this.
Well, wait, can I just say that this is not in cryptocurrency that money.
Please do. All right, Kelly, this is the financial section of the Variety Show.
Interrupted you for a reason. There we go, because it was Jenga.
Kelly, tell us about what happened with the stock market this week.
I mean, the stock market fell.
What was it? What was the percentage drop?
It was 11.75. Which is,
you know what the market cap percent?
No, I'm not sure. But it was, it was a lot. But it bounced back up a little bit, and then it went back down again.
The crypto market cap dropped from like 850 billion in late December to today. I think it's sitting at about 400 billion. So you're talking a 50% drop in 30 days.
Yeah.
And it's not like it hasn't been up and down 20%
totally
5 times within the same range. It's so wild, dude.
Yeah, it is wild. Well, I mean, things always go down around Chinese New Year. I mean, if you look at the graph over the last couple of years, it looks exactly the same. Like, I heard the same general shape, So, what I'm hearing a lot of now is that there's a lot of like people with like a lot of money, like big players, stock guys that are sitting there playing, and it's an easy to manipulate if you got a lot of money.
So I learned something today, which doesn't surprise me in the least, and I don't even know if it's true, but the sources, they talked about a lot of those shit that they knew they were talking about. So let's go with they kind of knew or have some insight, and they were just talking some stats on that topic, Gus, and it was like I think it's 75% of the U.S. stock market volume is controlled by like 25, like 5%. It's some small.
It's the same shit
of individuals. And so we know that in the crypto world, it's a little more transparent because it's like total wild west over there.
Yeah.
And I think people are more active in the crypto market on social media with pros and cons, whatever your view is, right? Like everyone's very quick to post whatever versus like the stock market. Like, it's like, I mean, crypto is basically like the under 25 stock market, right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
for the most
some
part.
ways, yeah.
Totally, 100%.
I mean, they're all over there. Like there ain't no under 25-year-old fucking talking about.
Oh, it's not sexy to go on there and be like, I've got a pension, so
Yeah.
Like to me it is, but to other people they might be like
your diehard crypto ideology folks, the libertarian far side, they're not at all concerned about. And to be fair, I got a group, North American and possibly non-communist Europe, with the rest, because we've always had it pretty easy in terms of money stability.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something when I got into like looking at it all that I didn't really like. By the way, I don't know how y'all got into cryptocurrency stuff. I got into it because I got hacked and held ransom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not any of this stuff. None of my Macs, by the way.
Yeah.
Some PC stuff got hacked, and they did the whole like send 0.003 Bitcoin to whatever.
The password's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to unlock it.
It was a hard drive. Yeah, it was like the hard drive encryption scam.
Yeah.
Like a year and a half ago. So that was it was actually Thanksgiving weekend is when I got indoctrined on what Bitcoin even existed.
Yeah.
And then I went and learned about it, and I was like, "Fuck this, man! Criminals!" Like a lot of people do, which was naive at the time. I let it rest, and then of course when there was more hype around it, I was like, "Oh, well, I knew I had one impression of what it was, and then I dove in pretty deep to like learn about it more."
Yeah,
there's a lot of depth there technologically.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. It was mentioned to me by my buddy Joey in 2010, and he's like, "Dude, this shit's the future, blah blah blah." But he didn't really do a very good job of explaining things, and
he just didn't sell it, so you weren't buying
No, he didn't sell it, so I totally didn't buy it. And then years later, I'm just like,
but realistically, even if you're a greedy money guy, realistically, like you're not like up until like the end of 2016, even into 2017, maybe even February, March, like you wouldn't have looked at that and been like, oh, okay, let me put $1,000 in this because there's a chance that might be worth $1 million by the end of the next 11 months. No, in their right mind.
Yeah.
So kudos to kudos to whoever did do that. Awesome, good for you.
Winklevoss twins.
Yeah, great, man. Great. Good for you. But at the same time, like I think you're a little bit absurd if you claim you're smart because you did it, like or had vision. Come on, dude. Yeah. It's like because there's a and this is what I got into the Twitter war on this week was like, to me, there's a total disconnect between, So my statement was, hey, and it's nothing new. I'd seen enough of it for the day when it was all crashing this week. Yeah. And I was like, hey, there's people, there's people tweeting and like, there's people that do follow that. And it's a lot of young people. Sure. And occasionally if I see something that's like, in my opinion, a pump coin or a shit coin, right? Altcoin, that's really egging on, their following to hold and this and that. Like, I don't have a problem stepping in and being like, here's my 2 cents, from, call me an old guy, whatever. Like, hey, if you bought this thing at 10% of what it is today, and it's currently fallen 50% from its all-time high, there is nothing wrong with selling it.
Right.
Take your profits. Yeah. Hang out, and then, even. If it goes down, great, buy back in. Dollar cost average back in. Sure. If it goes up, no problem. Buy up anywhere along the chain. And if it keeps going up another 1,000%, you're still going to make all the money. Sure. And in the meantime, you're not freaking out like you can see on
like right now. Yeah. Many people, so many nudes are just like, just sell because they're freaking out. and they're gonna fucking be so pissed in like a month.
And I made the statement, like, hey man, if you had $1,000 in there and now you're sitting on $100,000. All I said was, I didn't say go do this. I said, hey, they're just a consideration. There would be nothing wrong with taking that sum off the table, hold some of it with the plan to put it back into crypto, and maybe take half and go buy a piece of real estate. Yeah. It was like, sounds like you've been brainwashed by the fiat world.
Oh man, I know everyone's.
I'm like, I'm thinking, what the fuck does buying real estate have to do with believing in gold?
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, it was funny like that. That's kind of the stuff that goes on.
Real world application really trips people up and reveals some hangups on those things.
Yeah, less speculatively. Have y'all used any of it to like buy anything?
No, I've just bought some.
It's phenomenal.
Just held on it.
I've just had enter positive funds into my bank
HODL.
account.
Yeah,
That's about it. I've just sold it itself. I haven't used it to actually.
you sold it
buy
as
goods,
like a stock,
essentially
an asset.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did it for 90 days, like with a plan, and I made a little money, and then I left all the unrealized gains in the crypto part, took out my US dollars and then, or my fiat, you know, and then left the crypto in there.
That's where I'm at.
And then it didn't really, you know, like then I started playing around with it and definitely lost some of it, but it was like, it was all monopoly money to me anyway.
Sure.
So, you know, but it was the only way I could like, felt like I could really experience, like I definitely wasn't going to like go like experiencing like off the rails with my US dollars.
Yeah.
So once I made some gains, you know, like in November, December, then I was like, you know, took my fiat out, and then I was like, all right, let's have a little fun. And I definitely got my ass handed to me on a few of the deals, but it was like, well, what a learning experience.
Sure.
I mean, it's so cool, dude, to send like, you know, whatever, $2,000 equivalent over here,
It's
like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't with Bitcoin. It was like ADA and XLM, and these tokens were like, you know, they were like so fast, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know what your experience is with like different specific tokens, but
Speaking of different tokens, I'm actually surprised that the weed-based cryptocurrencies didn't take off more.
Potcoin? That was one.
Potcoin, THC is the hemp coin.
yeah.
But between, you know, what's happened here with prohibition versus Canada also having their legalization and Colorado and Washington already doing it, I was expecting that market to like just jump a little bit more, knowing what the Californian economy really is globally.
Well, so a lot of the stuff, a lot of podcasts and stuff I listen to, and the technical stuff, because I'm really interested in the technical as well, outside of, you know, like the utility token aspect and all that. But a lot of that stuff I listen to, like there's definitely from people with a lot of experience, like there's pretty strong opinion that only like one or two of the currency based ones are going to kind of
reign supreme
exist.
in the long run.
You know, and I don't know if you have an opinion on that, but it kind of makes sense. You know, like what sense does like Potcoin make?
Well, it makes sense. I mean, in one aspect of being able to legitimize the entire economy that was so black market before. And
but why not just use Ether or Litecoin?
Well, that's a good question. I don't really have an answer to that that's any better than the reason I would give to use you know, just the one coin that they're choosing to use.
Right.
Maybe being able to keep it purely within a single industry is more. I mean, obviously everybody's concerned about money laundering from criminal sources and all that.
Yeah.
Keep
yourself cleaned up from everybody else.
Rather than having
that makes sense. Like if you could convince regulators that, you know, Potcoin's only used by of interest and for people in the legal marijuana business,
rather than
fair enough.
Like mystery funds come in.
That makes sense.
That's all I've got though.
And because what I don't think a lot of people realize, which you guys obviously do, is that, you know, having a cryptocurrency, they're not all created equal. Clearly, different hashing algorithms, different, you know, the blockchain ledger itself has different levels of transparency or not. Right, privacy, XYZ. So that does kind of make sense. Like if you really wanted to use it as a way to say, we're going to design.
Just keep your hands in the air.
The transparency in a way that satisfies the regulators. Yeah. You know?
Well,
because regulators are obviously becoming more and more okay with recreational and medical. Yeah. But the US government is not so much. They haven't made a choice yet, right? It's all state, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And banks aren't. Like I went to a conference in San Francisco. I actually spoke at it about music and other shit like related to blockchain, and they invited me. I mean, I was nowhere near qualified to speak specifically about blockchain, but they had me there to talk about the music and some engineering stuff and things like that. So it made sense. It was a lot of fun. But one of the panels was some some marijuana industry, cannabis industry reps, and they weren't even using any of the technology, but they were there to talk about these kinds of things. That was pretty interesting because they have this whole track and trace thing that they have to start doing as of the first. of the year.
If you can do that with your money all the way from start to finish, that's better than basically
the
any other
money
business.
and the actual physical assets.
Yeah.
Because that I only know what they talked about on that panel, but an example would be like they have to be able to prove to, for example, the California whatever it is, whatever that agriculture commission is, or whoever tracks that shit and monitors it, the weed IRS. But they've got to be able to show them, that like where the strain came from, blah blah blah. What farm, all the way. Yeah. So it's like I think they used a term like seed to sale. Yeah, kind of makes sense, something like that. Yeah. And is this? I think I said track and trace, but seed to sale I think is the term they were using, which makes sense, right? Yeah. So it's not just the currency and how to move the money, the value around, right? It's also tracking that. And one thing I thought was really interesting, which kind of relates to the music stuff with all this blockchain and crypto stuff, was the marijuana folks were talking about as a way to pay the scientists that come up with the blends and patent the seeds and other patentable things within the plant. Cool. Oh, the chemical engineers, because they were saying since it's an all cash business, you couldn't register like a copyright or patent related to something because it's an illegal business. But now that it's legal, that's a whole nother segment of it where intellectual property becomes something that people want to have first mover stamp on it. Hey, that's my seed.
There's so many different uses for it.
Tons, dude.
The one I don't know which coin it is. I forget, but my buddy.
Why? Because there's 1,500 of them.
1,500. Good luck. There's way more than that. It was all about. It was for musicians. So like, hey, I want to book you for this. So all right, cool. I'm gonna send you a deposit. Boom. Like we're having this conversation right now on Facebook. Guess what? I just sent you the funds right now. Cool. Wes Smith is coming into town. All right, my terms are as soon as I get off the stage, you have to hit that button. I showed up, I played, I did my thing, I got the rest of it. Boom, it is there. You don't have to wait for the end of the night. You don't have to wait for the fucking this and that. It's done. Now the funds are yours. They're allocated.
I'll tell you,
you can go book.
Without a doubt.
You're on tour, you're in San Francisco, whatever, but hey, you got somebody come in to SD to do one of your juice parties.
Especially if they're not even, well, because we're all American with passports, like I would say American, but regardless, especially if they're not, if whoever it is you're dealing with is not from the same country you're from, regardless of what country that is, same issue. Yeah. Fantastic, right? Like when I went played in Russia, dude, that was like just sorting out all the wire fees and just the forms, and dude, we could have been done with that in 20 seconds. Right. And I wouldn't have cared, like, if they wanted to send me, XLM. The cool part was like we've all basically bought some and hold it, or hold and sold some, or whatever the combination is. But whatever, that's all basically a speculation activity, right? Really nothing more, like, for the most part. Because that's why I asked if you had bought anything, and I haven't bought anything with it other than another coin,
right? Yeah,
which to me isn't really buying anything. That's like whatever, exchanging shit or whatever. Yeah, I haven't bought anything tangible or digital or whatever, right? Like a non-crypto asset. But yeah, man, like I would totally take, even though for example, like I'm not comfortable per se with the volatility of a lot of these things. Some of the ones that I did use out of about 20, I mean, I would let someone from any country send me XLM, lumens for anything they want, like done. And then I would just, because now I have, through all that like messing around, like you guys probably have, like what a bitch to figure out how to get fiat in and out of the system.
Yeah, and how to actually make it something that's workable.
And if you're American,
with a tangible result.
One of the hooray for the rest of the world, but one of the few times that it's been way worse for Americans to get shit done is with crypto, right? Like, what a nightmare trying to get US dollars in and out of crypto. Yeah, totally. But once you got all that in place, right? Like, if someone wanted to send me a couple grand, in lumens, no problem, because it's like a 2-second transaction. Yeah, it's there, and if you're not comfortable, convert it. Done. Yep, you got your USD. Totally and so that's totally different than speculation, right? But when I looked at it like from that perspective, I was like, this shit is awesome. Yeah, awesome.
Yep. Yeah. When it comes to those terms you've been familiar with your whole life, and just become more tangible than this digital nothing that everybody's just talking about and oh, I'm putting my money into something that's just floating around. When you can actually apply it to your accounts, or in your case, like a purchase of something, like goods and services, that's a real thing.
And I don't mind paying taxes on it. I mean, you gotta pay taxes
using
bro.
our U.S. dollar already. Whether it's
I'm just gonna assume you guys pay taxes.
Yeah, it's like
Yep.
sometimes more than I want.
My accountant always says, "Be happy you have taxes to pay," because it just means you made money that year.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true. It's true.
Anyway, Kelly.
Yeah.
What's up, yo?
Nothing. I'm still here.
I think we're close to wrapping it up. Did we blow the shit out of you yet?
Got to crypto.
You kind of lost me in the last like 5 minutes or so. I'm sorry.
that was hashtag nerd out.
You guys nerded out, and it is past my bedtime.
We'll have to have a crypto show one day.
Wait,
you don't do it from a Lambo though.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll post it from inside the Lamborghini. Yeah,
we'll rent a Lambo and drive around and talk. All the wind and shit blowing.
Lambos and suits.
We'll wear helmets and get some mics to put in the helmets. We'll be those guys driving around.
I totally have a mic and speakers inside my helmet.
Of course you do. Of course your shooting helmet or whatever it is.
Right.
No, but it's I'm excited to see where it goes, you know, like, and I don't think you have to have, I mean, anyone listening or whatever, like, I mean, I think it's totally awesome to go take, even if it's just $100, whatever you can afford. Cause
sure.
I think one of the big, I didn't really, well, for about a day I had this, I wasn't clear. But then like a day into it, like if you're techie at all, you realize, oh shit, I can buy, you know, 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin, which is worth like 6 cents or whatever, right? And you can do that with all the coins to some lowest common denominator, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people,
them, not all of them, though.
No, but many.
Yeah,
but it's certainly the top like 50 in terms of the rankings.
Yeah.
You can do it with all that if they're listed on multiple exchanges, but maybe we'll do another deep dive some other time. But I think
should get Matt Bowe in here.
Yeah, for sure. But I would definitely say, well, hey, my history is like less than a year, dude. So, you know, but I'm just saying, like, I think I'm a proponent, man. I think anybody, if you don't get it, you think it's all bullshit.
Yeah,
I totally disagree. I think if you think it's bullshit, I would say absolutely do not.
How many people thought using a phone in the car was stupid?
Right.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only place I separate it for people is like, look, if you think it's all bullshit and you're thinking that because of like, you know, people losing money, whatever, fine. Don't do it for that reason. Take $50, $25, whatever you can afford, right? Go get your Coinbase account. It's the easy entry point for an American.
Yep.
And like, then take your $25. Yeah, you're gonna lose $3 on the fucking transaction. Now you got $22.
Right.
Whatever, dude. 5 cups of coffee, and then go take that and find yourself another exchange, a wallet, and do that stuff. Right. Yeah. Like, right.
Learn it.
It'll blow your mind, dude.
To be like
send 25 cents equivalent to your brother, or your sister, or your mom.
Yeah.
And teach them how to use
countries. They're like countries that are adopting these things so they can send funds back and forth with each other.
And we as in Americans don't have the problem, is why we don't, like, we see it as like a comparison to the Dow or the NASDAQ. Like that's the default, right? Like, oh shit, everyone's making millions. Yeah. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But, you know, in my opinion, but what we don't see is this like whole world that, you know, not the whole world, but a lot of other countries out of the 160 or whatever it is have a really fucking terrible financial system.
Yeah.
And they'll say that. It's not my opinion. It's just the way it is.
And for two of their people to be able to send stuff to each other has opened up a whole different world of finance for them.
And store their shit in something other than their currency.
Right. Because they'll like work, and then from one paycheck to the next, it's worthless.
Yeah. This opens, and that's something I got to tell you.
It's crazy.
You know, when you talk,
have $1 million Zimbabwe dollars in here.
Yeah, when you talk, ignorant American,
right there.
Yeah, dude.
Perfect example.
When you talk ignorant American things, like I would totally concede that this is one of them, because, you know, until I did this 90 days or 100 days or whatever, you know, messing around and trying all these different things, really trying to get my head around it all, you know, it was like, I wouldn't have really known about Argentina's currency problems. But, you know, then you start listening to all this shit, you hear interviews with people that are starting companies there or have for long time, been doing crypto companies, whatever, and you listen to why they started doing what they're doing, and it's really cool stories, man. And you're like, look, that's totally not a problem.
Right.
That like, you wouldn't be in America on American soil and think of starting a business to solve that problem here.
Yeah.
You might go to Africa to solve the problem there because
Yeah.
you're a genius, and that's awesome. And there's some people doing that.
Yeah.
But like, if you're here on American soil thinking, what kind of business am I going to start? You know, like after college.
Yeah.
And I want to start it in San Diego. Like, you're not going to be thinking, let me come up with a way for people to send remittances from New York to San Diego. Like, there's no business in that.
Yeah.
Zero.
Right.
But apparently, you know, right? Like, apparently, if you're in Africa,
Yeah.
you know, and you're trying to fucking do business with someone in Argentina, you can't.
Right.
Right?
No real wire transfer happening, and PayPal isn't necessarily something that I don't know if it's available in
I
every
mean,
region.
It's not,
or-
from
yeah.
what I've heard, because you
Yeah.
can't fund it.
I mean, it's hard enough just to like send money to a relative in another state here.
Right? Like, we think like, oh, Venmo, PayPal,
Yeah.
Square.
Well,
done.
now,
No, we do.
that's,
I'm saying
we do.
That's
yeah,
what we
yeah,
think,
yeah.
right? And we just think, oh, you do that everywhere, but you
Yeah.
can't,
You can't
because all those things have to be, you know, backed by
Speaking
something.
of which,
Right.
the Cash App is now getting into BTC, and they supposedly have lower fees than some other apps.
It's gonna be awesome, man. It's gonna be so awesome. We'll come back another time. We'll talk about Lightning networks and all that shit, dude. I can't wait. I mean, it's very exciting, you know.
You know, I mean, let me just say too, you can also invest in the regular market as well when you're young, and it compounds interest. Trust me, I have an
I have money. I have money in both and
Yeah.
real estate. Like,
And-
I'm open about it on other episodes. Absolutely.
I think because it's not all
Your
cryptocurrency.
portfolio.
No, I think that's a good point, and
Wu-Tang.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I think it's a great point, and the only way I wanted to leave that was that I if you're talking about investing and saving over time,
Yeah.
for example, for that kind of thing, if you want nothing to do with crypto in that capacity, no problem.
Yeah.
Still go put $25 in and learn how to use
Sure.
it. It will pull some lights on, and you'll be like, oh shit,
The world
Now
works
I
on a
get it.
grander
Yeah,
scale.
yeah.
right? Because you can do things with it that you absolutely cannot do
Yeah.
with a debit card. Right?
That's true.
You
That's
can.
true. Yeah.
So like, that's what I'm saying, encouraging people to do. I'm not encouraging people to dump their 401k, sell their house. Absolutely
Right.
None of this is
Right.
financial
And then-
advice. It's for
None of this
investment.
is
We said that in the beginning.
Look at you circle right back around.
Woo! Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
thank you, Mama Chia.
thanks, Mama. You didn't drink any of that.
Unofficially,
Unofficially.
thank you, Mama Chia. And
Unofficial, thank you, Jenga.
unofficial, thank you, Jenga. Official, thank you, Agent 137.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Agent 137, I like the hair, and it's not mohawked today.
Yeah, after you called me Donald Trump last time, I decided.
Oh, shit!
Oh, shit.
Shut up with a comb over, man.
That's not even true. It's all good. You all wear your hats. I'll just sit here with my hair. It's cool.
Oh,
True.
nice. Nice. Brandon's got good hair, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's,
Brandon, I
looks
was
like
noticing he's got gray
when
hair.
When you have hair that good and it's showing a little gray, it's good for life.
Just let it go.
Yeah, it's not
Just let
going
it
Let it
anywhere.
go, yeah.
It's
No,
not going anywhere,
anywhere.
though. You're solid for life, dude.
Yeah.
You can always work that like chia head, dude.
There's actual Instagram accounts just for that.
Yep.
100%. Maybe sideburns too.
Good stuff.
Hey, everybody! If there's nobody left, our goal here, our goal here is to do this until no one's left, and then
Last
we go.
man
And
standing.
then we go have a beer or some chili or
That's
whatever.
okay. They listen out.
Kelly, thank you so much
Thank you, everyone.
for your patience and participation.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you, Wes.
You as well.
Stay classy, yo,
Stay classy, yo. Peace.
because we are